Hello and welcome to a special holiday edition of Bushby and Thompson's Wrestling Adventure. And I'm your host, Martin Bushby. And joining me, of course, is the one, the only, Mr. Andrew Thompson. Andrew, how are you, mate?
Mr. Martin Bushby. It's great to see you, man. Great to be back on the podcast airways with you. You look splendid, my brother. Look great.
So do you, mate. I've been excited about this ever since we announced it. Yeah, I can't wait to get back, getting the guests back on and just chatting the year as it was in wrestling. Because on the show tonight, we will be having a variety of guests to chat the year that was pro wrestling in 2025 and beyond. And thanks as always to Davey and Braden for allowing us on Poison Rana, all the great work that they do. So thanks again, lads. But Andrew, it's been a year since we potted together. It was the last sort of like Bushby and Thompson's holiday extravaganza. And as you look back at 2025 in wrestling, how's it been for you? Have you, as you know, we've had some highs and lows like we always have, but as a year as a whole, have you seen a lot of stuff that you've been enjoying?
Yeah, I think just kind of like you said, it's been very some highs and lows. I think that's like the best way to describe it. You can say that about anything, about life. You can say that about whatever the situation is. You could apply that to anything, but. Yeah. I think there's been some a lot of stuff that I've enjoyed this year. Some stuff I didn't enjoy in terms of wrestling. I really enjoyed Takeshi's journey through the G1 and him eventually going on to win the IWGP World Title from Zack Sabre Jr. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Like one thing that I have enjoyed a lot is seeing the sort of ascension of this jet speed tag team with Kevin Knight and Speedball Mike Bailey, and especially going on to see them currently right now do their own thing in the Continental Classic. Definitely enjoyed that. And it's a bunch of other stuff too. But as far as on your end, like what was been, that similar question and answer.
It's weird for me because there's been a load of wrestling that I've really, really enjoyed, but I feel like I've been watching less than ever this year, if that makes sense. Like me and my wife went over to Vegas. We initially planned to go to WrestleMania, and then as I was watching the build and the ticket price and stuff, we were like, we'll give it a miss. We'll go to a bunch of indie shows. Never been to Vegas before, so we'll have a great time doing all that. And the indie shows we went to, yeah. And it was really good, and we saw some sort of like great wrestling on the sort of like indie stuff, and had a great time and that. And sort of like not really sort of like checked in with WWE since then. I've sort of like, other than sort of like listening to podcasts and checking clips out, and obviously watching Cena's retirement match against Gunther the other night. But yeah, it's been mainly AEW and then bits of Brit Wrest and things like that. And obviously AEW's had an up and down year, but as far as match quality goes, some of the stuff they've been having on has been fantastic. I don't think I'm really doing any match of the year podcasts or anything, so I'll definitely say that Hangman and Mox from All In was definitely my match of the year for 2025. And I feel Hangman had some good matches over the summer, especially like Kyle Fletcher and then the rise of Kyle Fletcher. I remember seeing this guy teaming with Mark Davis on the Brit Indies, as skinny as I am. And now look at him. He's like jacked to the gills, having great matches everywhere, charisma streaming off, and it feels like the world is his oyster.
I saw first time I saw Kyle Fletcher in person at it was at an NJPW Strong show. It was the Capital Collision in DC. This had to be like 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. And like I would have never like imagined him transitioning into the he's essentially even though Okada and Takeshita are in the Don Callis family, like to me at least, it's very evident that like Kyle Fletcher is like he's the guy that they're gonna, that this thing is built around. Like he's the main guy in the group, like even with Kazuchika Okada and Konosuke Takeshita in the group. Like, and I think it's very clear that AEW is like priming Kyle Fletcher for like to be in that world title scene for the rest of his time in that company. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's world champion. I'd probably say within the next 2 years at some point. Probably the back end of like 27.
Oh, definitely. It definitely feels like this has been his breakout year. And like I said before, it's so good to see from a guy. I feel like even though he's Australian, he felt like a sort of Brit Rest sort of homegrown guy. So yeah, great to see him from there. But Andrew, like I said, we've got tons of guests to get on. And I've noticed our first guest is waiting in the wings. So shall we get our first guest on for this wrestling extravaganza?
Let's bring him on.
So you'll recognise him from Grapple, Benno and Hamfler, and of course, you know, my old mate, co-host from the British Wrestling Experience. It's none other than Richard Benson, aka Benno, and Swasadi Benno. Did I say that correctly?
Proper intro that. I appreciate that. Hoi hoi. No, wait, that's not my catchphrase. Brit Rez is dead. That's my catchphrase. How's it going, Martin? I'm looking forward to talking about Square Go and all of the other goings on this year. Our Fight Club Pro doing. I haven't checked in on them in a while. I'm looking forward to finding out, mate.
Oh yeah, mate. Did you not know that sort of like the big ICW show of the year now is now at the Garage in Glasgow, which holds about 200 people. So yeah, I think we checked out a Brit Wrestler at the right time. I think, mate.
Hey, we could have got some of them Trent 7 millions. He's getting 5 million, isn't he? According to Sky News. That's what I was told. I'm sure Andrew's written that up already. How's it going, Andrew? Good to see you, mate.
What's good, man? It's good to see you, man. It was fun. I had just saw that story yesterday about it's apparently like a new promotion that's what that is that he's doing. He's like as a big backing coming in.
5-Star Wrestling Part 2. Martin knows all about how that one went. It's that pot of magic beans in it. Brit Rez is always trying to chase to the end of that rainbow. One day it's going to come.
Do you think if this thing like actually does get off the ground, do you think there's a chance it could be successful?
No. I mean, I don't think there's a chance it could be. You could finish the sentence there. Feels unlikely. Even Andy Ogden, who's often our old co-host, often more positive than I think me and Martin used to be back in the day. He doesn't see it happening, so I'm going with him. I'm going with Andy and Jeff. If in doubt, Martin, that was always the best way.
Exactly. And also, Andrew, there's been so many false dawns with fucking Brit Wrestlers. There's been, like Benno said, 5-star. We've had 1 PW. I bet even if you talk to Brit wrestlers from the 80s and 90s, they must have been promised so much stuff and nothing ever seems to come for it. I just think people just like WWE and AEW and stuff too much. And, you know, I don't think sort of like Brit Wrest Indies are going to get any bigger than what they currently are, sort of thing. So we had a
600,000 fans. Hoping
6
for
million.
It, Sky News. 6 million, was it?
6 million.
Fucking hell. I would have bought 600,000. Jesus Christ. It's just so funny because if you see like the stories where it's been posted, all of the don't do Twitter much anymore. I know you're a Blue Sky man more now these days, Martin. But like the quote tweets are just full of all the old knobheads from like 5 or 6 years ago. I used to be one of them, just going, "This will never happen. This is bullshit. Typical Brit Rez." But then in the comments, it's all the wrestlers going, "Fingers crossed. Can't wait." It's like, oh. None of us ever learn, do we? We're all the same. We're destined to do this forever.
Cash cow we can milk. Yeah, where's another cash cow we can milk? Yeah, that's what the wrestlers are thinking. Yeah, see what we can get out of this for a year. But well, Benno, we aren't here to talk about Brit Rest, thankfully. You are joining us live from basically the other side of the world. I mean, obviously, you know, Grapple listeners will know you're sort of like based over in Asia now, in sort of like the Thailand region. Sort of, how's that been going for you for the past sort of like you've been over there a year now?
Yeah, it's about 9 months at this point. Obviously, I'm going to be back in January to do some post-Christmas visits with family and such as well, and then I'll be back out here again. But yeah, I'm in Vietnam at the minute in Hanoi, which I'm loving. Got a nice little 30 beer here, Martin. You're not getting that in the UK, I don't think. Strong stuff as well. Should see the ciggies too, Martin. 30p for the whole pack of 20. I feel like Steph, when she came to visit me, saved all the money she spent on a flight. She saved back from cigarettes that she bought out here. It worked out quite well. But outside that, no, absolutely loving it. Obviously, the time difference is a bit of a challenge with podcasting and such. It's 3 a.m. here at this point, but I'm used to it at this point. This is usually when we're just wrapping up Grapple shows. But yeah, Thailand was amazing. Vietnam's probably prefer it just that little bit more, loving out here. It's a bit more rough and ready than Thailand, so I like the challenge of it. And obviously, we spent a bit of time in Japan as well. Went to Tokyo, hoping to go to Osaka next year as well. You can see the fresh New Japan polo top we got out. I'm just a big fan of the G1 33. Couldn't tell you who won it, but it was a fiver in Tadukan, Martin. So when in town, you've got to, haven't you? I know you've been through those hallowed halls, so that was a highlight too. But yeah, loving life. It's great. Everyone should do it. Come join me. Come on, Andrew.
Hey, Benno, what's been some like some of your highlights of being in Thailand? Like some of your favorite memories, I guess, over this past almost year that you were in the Asia region. Like, what's been some of your favorite things so far?
It's just the food. The food is the biggest thing. Like, I don't want to be one of those expats who's always going on about or immigrants is probably the word we should use, isn't it, Martin? It's a dirty word in our parts, all that. But yeah, like it's the food and obviously the value that comes with it as well. But yeah, like it's on another level, really. Like what you can get out there for the money that you can spend comparatively to the UK or the US or Canada, where I know a lot of the listeners will be as well. But yeah, it's mainly that really. That's been my biggest thing. It's been, obviously discovering, parts of a new culture and stuff like that, and going through like the nice touristy spots like the local 7-Elevens. Big fan of those as well. Big fan of doing all that. But obviously, yeah, more of that really. It's the food, it's the drink, it's the culture of it. It's been absolutely amazing. I was very lucky in Vietnam, same thing really, but I was very lucky while I was out here in Vietnam to be in Da Nang when Vietnam Pro Wrestling were running a show there. I watched the wrestling show on a beach, and obviously that sounds amazing, and it was amazing, but it was in the middle of pretty much the worst rainstorm Da Nang has ever had.
Wow.
So I don't know if you showed my videos out there, Andrew, but there was a few floating around. They did all right numbers wise, and it was just literally like these wrestlers trying to do moves and do dives to the outside in like this torrential outdoor downfall with like this beautiful backdrop. There's a beach, there's palm trees in the background, but it was literally the most dangerous thing I've ever seen from wrestling. But you managed to pull it off, the show must go on, and it worked out well. So that was amazing to get to experience that and see a bit of wrestling abroad too. So obviously Japan too had plenty of that as well, but that was definitely close to my heart for sure.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I saw your pictures and videos of that, and it did look fantastic. Certainly something that you're not going to sort of like experience in many parts of the world, is it? Especially sort of wrestling on a beach in, some kind of fucking monsoon or something. So, but
insane.
Yeah, it looked absolutely brilliant. But as far as grapple goes, you guys have sort of seem to be going from sort of strength to strength, and always great shows, great review shows, and everything. Can you cover sort of like the breadth, and it's not just the main promotions. You cover sort of like little, especially on the weekend shows and stuff, and the indies and stuff like that. But some things that I did want to get into with you. I know that, like me, you're sort of a big Eddie Kingston fan, because we will be sort of like chopping it up with our guests tonight, and sort of like jumping from topic to topic from Wrestling 2025. And he made his comeback this year after sort of like almost a year out, was it? And for me, felt like a bit of a whimper. I think it's fair to say, he had the match with Big Bill and the tag team with Hook, and it sort of feels like we're getting more back to the old Eddie Kingston, back with the promos in his lead up to his match with Samoa Joe and the match with Samoa Joe. But what have your been feelings on sort of like Eddie Kingston coming back these past couple of months?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's funny you say Big Bill there. What's he done since that? Like, Big Bill was great in that match. I want to see more Big Bill. That's what I want more than anything. But yeah, I mean, disappointing's the only word you can say, but it does seem like things are turning around, Like it obviously, I think we can all see it in Eddie's performances, even when it's been good, even like through this Samoa Joe stuff. Like I love the match last week on Dynamite, but even the promos, there was just something off when they did the face-to-face. It just didn't quite seem like the full Eddie. It felt a little bit like he was playing the hits, and even some of his backstage promos, it always feels like it's like, all right, that was like that we did the Mr. Burns thing. We took 32 takes and that was the best one, and it kind of weirdly cuts halfway through, because it really does feel like he's just not quite got into the full Eddie Kingston zone. And then even saying that, he can still go out there and have a match like he did with Samoa Joe last week. So, he's still Eddie Kingston at the end of the day, and hopefully he's putting it together. So I was very critical of it early doors. Like, if you're going to bring Eddie Kingston back to AEW, there should be a lot more like pomp and circumstances around it. We all imagined it was going to be, he was going to save the day and come after Mox or do something, and he just kind of turned up and he was Hook's tag team partner, and it just was so underwhelming. Maybe now that we've seen a few more weeks of it, maybe I'm a little bit more sympathetic to the idea of maybe not booking him in a big spot, because maybe he wasn't ready for a big spot. You could then also ask the question, well, why bring him back at the time they brought him back? But I think that's what's going on, and I think hopefully, depending on what happens in the UK this week and what happens in the build to World's End, maybe we're going to get something that's more akin to the Eddie Kingston we're all used to.
Yeah, so I kind of think with Eddie, I think it's kind of exactly what you said, Ben. Like it was, coming off that major injury that he had. Like he was out since May 2024, and he finally came back. And then, like, I think it's just a matter of like, I think it was just the easy decision to sort of pair him with Hook and sort of work his way back into things. And the Big Bill match, wasn't particularly a fan of that. But again, I was kind of looking at it from the standpoint when he came back. I'm like, dude, he been out for 4 years and some change, and I'm pretty sure like it's trying to get his get his wits about him and everything like that. And I know Eddie, he's going to be working like it's his last year on the Indies next year, and I think he's going to stop November 2026. So to your point, I think maybe we'll probably see some old signs of that Eddie Kingston that we saw prior to, like as he starts to get more comfortable in the ring. Because I'm pretty sure, like, from his standpoint, him being his age, having a major injury like that, he's probably of the mindset, like, I made one wrong move in this ring, and you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, even though what happened to him, that was kind of more so of a freak accident with the suplex to the outside. Like, that wasn't, anything he did on his end. But I kind of feel the same as you, Benno. Like, I think over time we'll kind of see the Eddie Kingston that I guess we all, have grown to want to see.
Yeah, definitely. Comes from a place of love. It comes from a place of knowing what he's capable of and what we want to see. And that was not teaming with Hook, and that was not some of the booking we saw in the early days. He belongs with the top guys. He belongs in there with Joe. He belongs at that upper mid-card level. So, yeah, let's hope that Tony Khan sees that as well, because that's always my worry. Does he see him the same way we do? But, again, more encouraging the last couple of weeks, I would say.
Hey, Ben, I actually wanted to follow up on that, because you had mentioned Hook. Has it felt like something like isn't like I feel like this, but I want to know if you feel like this as well. Does it feel like something isn't like clicking for you with Hook? Like it feels like I'd say over the last like year. I mean, especially since he came back from he had his concussion situation, but it kind of feels like he's not being himself on television. It kind of feels like he's trying to play the idea of what he think Hook is, instead of like presenting himself as, you know what I'm saying? Because like, and even if you compare it to his initial coming out party in AEW, like when he had the as the youngins say, the aura, like, it doesn't feel like that's there anymore.
No, definitely not. And I think that's happened like over years, and we've all kind of, the bloom has come off the rose with Hook, and like, get the idea of wanting to do something with him, but like, we had Wheeler Yuta at home. We've got Daniel Garcia at home. Like, we didn't need another stable with an underling who's like the little shitty one who's the runt of the litter. Like, it's just not the role. It doesn't seem like, at this point anyway, the role he was born to play, and not really a role he properly set him up for. I never believed Hook and Eddie Kingston were going down the bar together, did you? Like, they never looked like people who'd hang out together. Hook and Samoa Joe kind of feel the same way as well. And they've just not really built it. They've not. There's a story and there's a way you could maybe get to this point, but I just don't think they did it. And like, the idea of Hook being the one to cost Hangman Page's title, like, when they've got really no real like relationship with each other, like, it felt miscast from the start. And I think most people, even the people who are the most charitable and the most positive about AEW, would probably concede that. And it's over to him to see if he can make it work. And like, I feel the same way. I'm biggest Samoa Joe fan of all time, but he's in a role like this weird cowardly heel champion that I'm not sure is perfect for Joe, but he's still Samoa Joe, so he's going to find a way to pull it off. Do we feel the same way about Hook? I'm not so sure. I'm not sure he's got the chops for it, but there's one way he can prove he does.
Thanks to everyone who's joining us in the chat tonight. Interesting question here from one of the chat members. Do you think Eddie is going to be tied into Mox's downfall with the Death Riders? Obviously, they're teasing that, aren't they?
Yeah, he should be. That's what I think. I'm probably not alone. That's how I pictured it. Don't know if you're the same, Andrew. When he came back, I just assumed the Death Riders were going to be on top, and here he comes, Eddie, to save the day. We can get that. Instead, he's feuding with the Samoa Joe faction, which feels like a cosplay Death Riders at this point. The Joe Riders. I'm just
the Joe Riders.
Why that didn't happen? It seemed obvious.
Like, I kind of feel the exact same way. I think after the Continental Classic, once that fully concludes, probably like I can see it happening in like early 2026. I think that we'll see some semblance of the Death Riders kind of pushing Moxley to the side a little bit, and then maybe that'll parlay into, Eddie Kingston having in his issue with Claudio, and then that sort of weaves its way back into him and Moxley reuniting. Because I mean, for Moxley to be in the position that he is, like, I always make sure to give Moxley his credit, because like, somehow for him to not have been off AEW TV for like any super extensive amount of time, he doesn't come off to me as somebody like, I'm like, God damn, Moxley on TV again. Like, it doesn't feel like that. Like, even despite the multiple world title runs and him always being on TV, it doesn't. I'm not tired of Jon Moxley, the character on television. So like, I think there's a lot of room for him to make his way back into the babyface side of the spectrum. I actually think it'd be wonders for him and Eddie Kingston if they were to get back into any type of tag team.
I think even as a Mox super fan, I think at the start of the year there was a bit of
I was gonna say
all the Death Riders stuff. I think they obviously turned it around with the Hangman match, but at the start of the year I was thinking, oh my god, we need I need a break from Mox. But he's completely turned it around and like had a stellar year since then.
Incredible. Wrestler of the year pretty much since that day, which is funny. You can make an argument. There was a point that's in the year where we were all going to say the Death Rider story was the worst story in wrestling. I don't think we would have voted for Moxley as worst wrestler of the year, but the types of thoughts are creeping in our head. What a turnaround the second half of the year. Like, Death Riders was incredible with that payoff with Hangman, and Moxley, the story he's telling right now with the Death Rider has been brilliant as well. Like, probably the wrestler of the year at this point.
But I had streak and everything. Yeah, it's been fantastic so far.
I had completely forgot about that until both of y'all just mentioned that, like, that period. I remember when he was going at it with Swerve, and I was like, man, somebody please get the title off this man. But like, I think that just more so leads credence to, like, how Martin just said that he kind of turned it around at that midpoint. I had kind of forgot about that whole period earlier this year when I was like, somebody please get the fucking title off him immediately.
Well, that's the testament to what a good job he's done, Andrew. That you sort of like we've sort of like forgotten sort of like about those early few months, but Benno, before we let you go, we couldn't have you on here without talking about CM Punk. You know, obviously you diehard ROH fan, you know, back in the day for CM Punk. But how do you feel watching him this year? You know, he's sort of tepid WrestleMania main event, the rematch with Cena, you know, taking that Saudi money finally, you know, sucking a blood-covered dick or whatever the fuck he said, you know, the comeback of AJ Lee and all that. How's well, I assume he's not your favorite wrestler anymore, but your former favorite wrestler. How do you think he's fared this year?
No, I'd probably say he's my favorite wrestler. Maybe, like I say, not my favorite to watch at the minute. But I think that's the thing with him being my favorite wrestler. I think we always said it. We were always consistent over a crap, or at least I hope. Check the tapes. Like, you've got to keep your favorite wrestlers at arm's length. They're not your friend, you know, and they're not people you want to hang out with, and you probably shouldn't put all your hopes and dreams in them. Now, at the same time, like, has it gone even further this year than I would have expected? I mean, yeah, like, he is just, at this point, he'll just do anything that Triple H says. He's got his hand up his ass, hasn't he? And he's using him as a puppet to do whatever he wants. Maybe at some point we'll get the real Phil Brooks and we'll get some kind of meltdown, but maybe this is the real Phil Brooks. Like, I don't think it's an original point, but we definitely talked about it on Grapple at the past. Maybe Matty coined it in the first place, that being like this voice of the voiceless and being like this rebel who talked to power and all of that, it was always a gimmick. Like, it's always been a gimmick, and now this is his gimmick, whatever he's doing now, and everything's a work in wrestling, isn't it? And who maybe some of us thought Phil Brooks was at some point in our lives, and we all, you know, I joke, but we all probably drank the Kool-Aid at some point. It's kind of come to fruition what he is now. I still think part of it's a bit of a long game. Part of it's still, you know, he wants the best way to get to his haters and the best way to get to the people who, you know, were mad at him or the people who don't like him was to just suck it up in WWE. What's going to annoy them more than just, you know, doing whatever WWE says and getting through and not selling it and not admitting that he can't love all the material he's been given. He can't be loving. Can he really think that back and forth with Cena this year, where he did the impression of Cena as one of the greatest promos of his life? Can he really think the work he's doing this year is some of the best work of his life? I'd like to think he doesn't really believe that, and he's just saying it to kind of stick it to the haters and not let them win. But yeah, it's gone further than even I imagined, and yeah, I think it's, you know, in some people's mind, it seems to have put him over the edge as far as being a Hall of Famer, getting into the Observer Hall of Fame this year. But for me, it has maybe lessened his overall career, seeing some of the weak work that he's done over the last year and seems perfectly happy with. I think the Drew story is probably the one lone positive I can say about Punk's running WWE back so far. And yeah, unless he has a really interesting thing with Cody or Roman or something like that coming up, it's probably just going to be this autopilot. Happy to be there, Phil. Happy to take the Saudi blood money, as you say, Phil. And yeah, even us who are fans of him but still pessimistic about Phil Brooks the man, or kind of half laughed and half expected some of his antics out of him. It has even surprised me, I'd say.
Do you think we're ever going to get meltdown Punk, or he's just going to, you know, carry on as he is for the next couple of years? And then, well, he said the other day he's far off retiring, didn't he? So who knows? Might get another 5 years out of him at this rate.
I think Punk is probably in it for the long game, and when I say the long game, I mean he's probably going to try to take over NXT once Shawn Michaels is done. I can kind of see him transitioning into that role. No, the only time that I ever, like, throughout this run where I thought that there was a chance we would get like a glimpse of that old CM Punk was when he was working with Jey Uso, and especially that promo when Uso and Jey kept doing the whole the yeet thing in Punk's face the whole time, where they were going back and forth, and then especially when he at Saturday Night's Main Event when he hit the neck breaker and then he went the other way, and you could tell Punk kind of got like a little, you know, I mean, I'm guessing that was just like a natural reaction to kind of like wake Jey up and kick him upside the head real quick, but that was probably like the closest that I thought that we were that we would see of the old CM Punk, if you will. But what I will say is that I think, and I know Benno, and I know you, Mark, could probably attest to this as well. Is like you can tell who he is interested in working with versus when he's not invested. Like when he was working with Gunther, you can tell that he was passionate about it and he was into it because he sounded like he was invested. When he's doing the thing with Braun Breaker, he sounds interested. When he's going back and forth with Seth Rollins, he sounds like he's interested. With Cody, sounds like he's interested. Roman sounds like he's interested. And then you have the certain programs like when he's in there, like with a Logan Paul, or when he's in there with a Jey Uso, he seems like he's kind of like in and out, and then depending on the scenario, depending on the crowd, he's like, he's either in or he's out.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, completely. Sorry, Benno.
Yeah. No, I was just going to double down on that, really. I think that's definitely been apparent, especially when he kicked Jey Uso in the head. He definitely wasn't happy with how that was going this year, no matter how many selfies they post together and how happy they seem to be. But like at the same time, I think I agree with Andrew. I just think he's going to take the money until the end of the contract. And at the end of the day, this is a man driven by grudge, and the grudge is always going to be more important than what's in front of him. If we had another meltdown, to answer your question, Martin, I don't think he'd win. I think with AEW in his mind, he won by leaving the way he did and doing the way he did. I think the way he wins now is to get NXT or is to get Triple H or Shawn Michaels' job or something like that. So I think he's going to have enough self-control, but I want to see it. I'd love to see it and imagine the news cycle, if it did happen, it'd keep us in business for a couple of months. So fingers crossed it does happen.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed for you, Benno. And before we let you get out of here, always fantastic chatting to you, mate. Hope you have sort of like a great holiday period. You're going to be out there for like actual Christmas Day then?
Yeah, I'll be out here for Christmas Day and Boxing Day, so I'll be watching films, which is pretty much what I do Christmas Day and Boxing Day, and then I'll be home for New Year's. That's the real Christmas. January 4th, that's the real Christmas Day. I'm looking forward to that, so I've got that to come. But yeah, I'll be in Belfast and Liverpool across January, so yeah, can't wait.
Yeah, get Planes, Trains and Automobiles on. Yeah, that's
a proper Christmas film.
Your favorite. Yeah.
Counts for us.
But, yeah, indeed. But before we let you get out of here, any plugs you want to get out there? Obviously, everyone's sort of like big fan of Glasspool. What stuff have you got coming over the sort of like holiday / Christmas period?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, obviously we've got our Grappies and Crappies coming up, which are our usual year-end awards. Doing a bit of a 5-to-1 tier list at the weekend as well. I think we're talking the best Christmas food and also the best Christmas film. So that will be a topic of conversation this week. But yeah, kind of business as usual. Obviously, JP taking a little bit of a well-earned time off at the minute just to take care of some personal stuff. But plenty of people filling in, which is great to see. And we'll even have you on, won't we, Martin, in January. So we'll be back on the horse at a BWE reunion. Looking forward to that. And Andrew, keep an eye on your DMs, mate. I'll probably be reaching out to yourself as well. I'd love to have you on again soon, mate. So yeah, we'll have all that coming up. So yeah, if you're a fan of these guys, hopefully you'll see both their happy faces on the Grapple feeds. Just search Grapple wherever podcasts are sold. No E, GRAPPL.
Excellent. Cheers, Benno, mate. Have a great Christmas and catch you in the new year.
Great to be back on with you guys. See you later.
See you later. Oh, always great chatting to Benno there. It feels like it's been ages since I've sort of done a podcast with him, considering how many years we did sort of like podcasts together and stuff like that. Yeah, but
I remember y'all brought me on the British wrestling experience. What was that? Was that 2020?
It was it just prior to the pandemic, or as the pandemic was just starting, or
I think that was pandemic because I remember it was the Rick Martel. We was watching some match. It was some WWF show that we was watching. Me, you, Benno, and Jamesy. I cannot remember. I think that was 2020. Jesus Christ, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, Andrew, it was a show from 1992, about 8 years before you were born. I do.
Jesus Christ.
We were like, let's get Andrew Thompson on the show to talk about a wrestling show that happened before he was even.
My goodness, man.
So yeah,
it's crazy.
But, yeah,
bro.
Great chatting to Benno. But Andrew, this train keeps rolling on because our next guests are in the wings waiting to come on. And honest to God, Andrew, this is one of my favorite shows of the past couple of years. It sort of came out of nowhere. I sort of like not really seen much about it, and then become a big fan, perhaps more for the banter outside the wrestling, but the wrestling talk is great as well. I mean, when fans usually think of Double A, they think of Arn Anderson, but for us, we've got the Double A of Ali and Annie from Tunnel Talk. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey,
Welcome
thanks
to
so
the
much
show,
for
y'all.
having us.
Yeah.
No, thanks for coming on and happy holidays. We're missing a member of the team tonight, though. Sadly, no Leah. Obviously, you've been in her off for this episode, I see.
She doesn't like hanging out with us. So,
Yeah. Yeah, we're staging a coup. She's out.
Unlike us, she had to be in the office. So she wasn't 100%
Yeah, she's
certain
in the
she'd be able to give this as much attention as it might need. So we're going to do our best. We are better as a threesome, but we'll do our best.
Yeah,
Excellent,
we're on the clock, of
excellent.
course. So we're just, abusing work from home privileges.
What is the point in working from home if you can't abuse your work privileges like that? So
what I always say.
yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Yeah, I was I think one of my favorite shows of the year, and I've got to say I was in London all this weekend, and I was coming back home on the train Sunday night, and I had downloaded the latest show on there, and the train was packed because obviously a lot of people going down to London for the holidays and everything. I was literally creasing up, trying not to laugh as I've got all these people around me, and my wife's nudging me and going, "What's so funny? What you're listening to?" And I was like, "Oh, it's kind of like this wrestling podcast." And she was like, "Oh, right, is it funny?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, but it's not about wrestling really. It's more about sort of like the banter at the start." I was like, "Oh." Basically, this girl's got a coworker who's retiring, and the host is trying to get her to marry you.
It's so real, but so damning to call our wrestling podcast not really about it.
But that's why everyone loves it, I think, though. That's why it's so great, because you guys have obviously got a really sort of like unique and completely different take on wrestling, and then also, you guys have got such good chemistry together, and the banter and everything just works so well. Sort of like at the start of the show. In fact, I find myself sort of like enjoying those moments more than sort of like the sort of wrestling talk, if that makes sense to you, yeah.
Yeah, we're
That's so
actually
nice.
often hearing that when people get to our actual opinions, they're like, "But I don't think so, girl." But they love the energy we bring to those opinions.
I see Leah's in the chat saying she's missing his girls. We're missing you on the show as well, Leah. But what do you guys want to talk about anyway? Do you want to talk? I know you guys love talking about sort of like Swerve's undeniable main event charisma, maybe.
Absolutely. Yep. Love
Samoa
those.
Joe and his band of incels, Mox's all-time ham run. But the thing I did want to get into was obviously the TNA AMC deal, because I am also a huge Interview with the Vampire fan.
Oh, really?
That's exciting.
Can we admit that the rest of the universe is a bit...
I haven't even watched any of the other shows.
Yeah.
I just feel like superior to them without even having tried to view them.
Because that's what I was going to say. If they did do a crossover, it should be with the characters. Rowan Mayfair and Lashley should definitely be appearing on Dynamite rather than sort of like the main eventers. Chuck this sort of like scraps out to them, and sort of like if they did do sort of like a crossover with Dynamite. I mean, sorry, with TNA.
Yeah, I only want the lesser figures on TNA. If Sam Reed and Jacob Anderson get to go to TNA, I'm gonna flip out. You'll be hearing it for months.
It'd be crazy. Just the indignity of like your favorite TV stars that do a wrestling thing but go on TNA. It's just like it feels like God spitting in your face right there, you know.
Truly.
Yeah.
Like as we like, at the back end of 2025, like how do you guys look at your podcast progression and your podcast success just over this last year? Like, how do you guys feel about things, and like what are you looking forward to in 2026?
That's a good question. We interviewed the Young Bucks right at the end of last year. So like right at the new year, basically. So that was, pretty huge for us. In terms of
weird.
A year. Very weird. It's been a good year. We got to go to All In Texas this year. And like, we got to meet a bunch of the people on our podcast network, and then like a bunch of listeners too. And like, that was so fun. And you just sort of like, I felt very like, oh, I didn't notice that we've been building community this whole time, but we have, and it's so nice.
Yeah, it was like the nicest time.
Is that one of the most like exciting things about cultivating the community that you guys have, is like seeing individuals in real life? It's like, oh, these are like, these people like really, they pay attention to what we do and they hear what we say. Like, is that probably one of, I would say, amongst the top things for you guys, is like seeing like the results of your hard work and seeing individuals like care for what you got to say.
For sure. It was incredibly nice and incredibly surreal And I think like just kind of drove home something that we also experience just online, where the nicest thing about anyone saying they listen to us is we have people who listen to us and are like, most of the like podcasts I try to listen to or people I try to read, like don't really seem to understand like what I'm interested in wrestling for, but you guys are expressing what I'm interested in. And that's the nicest thing, is to be like, oh good, it's good that some fellow minded freaks are getting to have a little bit of representation out there.
Totally. It's sometimes very alarming that sometimes people like quote things we say and stuff, and it's like, oh, I don't know if you should listen to anything we say ever.
Oh, you weren't supposed to hear any of this.
Oh yeah, our friend Chai Mothboy in the chat said 2025 was our inaugural Best Bods tournament.
Oh my gosh,
that's
true. Right.
We did
That
a March
is true.
Madness, just bringing the most sober-minded wrestling analysis that you can imagine to the wrestling.
We're gonna have to think about that, because I was just thinking about the 2026 Best Bods, and I was like, well, a lot of the bods are the same, so we're gonna have to think about how to. I think you said, Ann, you wanted to do Connie rules, maybe.
Yeah, we're gonna do Connie rules, like round robin instead of elimination brackets. So we'll see what that brings to the mix, you know.
And that sort of makes your show sort of like unique and stuff. You sort of like tail off into things like that, and sort of like, you know, maybe Hammond, the little games and sort of stuff you play, and sort of like people who might be tuning into this show tonight. How would you sort of like describe your show? How would you describe it, sort of like newer listeners?
How would
I think we've said that our brand is like horny English major, I think. So it's just like a lot of dirty jokes. We do narrative analysis, I guess.
Yeah, I think we'd like for it to be a bit of a toss-up. So some weeks you'll come on and you'll hear hopefully a fairly astute analysis of something that you might not hear on another podcast. We can't really assess the moves that well, but we are fairly good at expressing why we think a storyline is or isn't working. And then some weeks you come on and it's just ungodly repulsive jokes the whole time. And we have nothing smart to say. And you shouldn't know before you show up what's the case. But then also on a more, you know, concrete, practical level, it's an AEW recap show. So if you watch the product, or if you don't, we've heard, you can just get a sense of what's going on week to week, or how we perceive what's going on.
No, you go ahead, Mark. You go ahead.
Well, what I was going to say is one of my favorite things that you guys do is sort of like taking sort of like maybe stories that have come out and people have sort of maybe sort of like not looked into too much depth. And then you guys are like, yeah, but what's the main story behind here? And why aren't the real questions getting asked? So I distinctly remember, was it Sting's son training at Darby Allin's house or whatever? And then you were like, but why is Sean Ross Sapp not asking the real questions? Like, what are they all living in tents in the backyard?
And then he never did. He never did.
No one ever did. It was the funniest story, because like the little tidbits they're reporting, like, oh yeah, they're living in tents in Darby's yard, and then everyone just seemed content to leave it at that. Like, what are we talking about? What's the schedule like? Like, what are the meals like? Like, come on.
I hate to, you know, like paint with a broad brush, but I've never met a lazier bunch of journalists than the journalists in the wrestling space who have no interest in tracking down interesting and perplexing stories at all. It's all just like, Karrion Kross, is he going to stay at WWE? I don't give a shit. You have a tent story on your hands. Focus up.
Like, imagine hearing Sting's son is living in a tent in Darby's yard to like be on the wrestling grind and just being like, oh, okay, no follow-ups.
No follow-ups. I have to respond to a DM from Karrion. Sorry, Karrion.
Did we discover that Darby was like breeding dogs in the same house or something like that?
What the fuck? Hold on, what?
Yeah, he had a bunch of pugs, his brother's pugs, and there were a lot of puppies. But I don't know if these weren't two unconnected stories, but no one asked if the pugs were still there.
Know if they were connected, but nobody asked the question.
It's literally the closest I've ever come to trying to get into like a wrestler's DMs to try and find news stories. I was like, do we have to become journalists? Which we are not.
I feel like wrestlers should be so lucky as to get us in their DMs, because it's like, we're not going to be asking about the thing you don't want to talk about. You're going to be asking something that you didn't think anyone would ever ask about. You know?
For sure,
we should be journalists.
Perhaps that was a present. You'd graduate from Derby's backyard wrestling academy and receive a pug as a sort of like gift or whatever. That could have been.
Okay, you're cooking,
Yeah.
Martin. You are cooking.
I love that line of thought. Yeah.
If you could look out into like the world of wrestlers and know who trained in Darby's Tent City just because they travel with a little pug everywhere, that's transparency.
There you go, Andrew. You need to have a word with the higher ups at Fightful. These are the real questions that need to be asked and the real stories that people want to know about.
I try to pass it along for sure.
Thank you so much.
If we can get answers even at this late stage, I would.
I know, it's never too late to correct a mistake.
Yes, I think Sting's son's been doing dark matches or something for AEW now. So if if we see him do a Cody and come out with the sort of like full grown pug, then we know where that's come from.
That'll
Don't
be
we?
our
Yeah.
clue.
And then that'll be our guy for life.
Yeah. So guys, we're sort of coming up to this sort of the end of the time, I'm afraid, Andrew, but before we get our next guest in, but thank you so much, guys. Always a blast talking to you guys. I know we did when you came and helped me out on the charity show before. Two last questions though. Any major holiday plans and plugs for any guys who've sadly not had a chance to take your podcast out?
Oh yeah. Well,
sorry. Very specific question in there, wasn't it?
I think we were both like, who's going to do the damn plug? Wait, why don't you plug what we have coming up? Yeah.
So we're going to be on Trish and Sarah for their Trish and Sarah holiday extravaganza that comes out, I think, on the 23rd. So that's an exciting crossover episode where we really drag them down to our level. So that's
way down.
Really exciting. Yeah, way down. We're pretty loose. So perhaps inappropriately so. Yeah. And our regular podcast comes out every Sunday. We're going to take a little holiday break, but it'll be
You
out.
can check us out this weekend, and then after that, we'll be on a bit of a break. But you can find us on all the usual places at Tunnel Talk Pod. And I'm going back to the East Coast for the holidays. So I'm excited about I'm driving. So I'm excited about that.
She'll be at my house tomorrow. So
I know.
that's pretty exciting.
Can't wait.
Yeah.
I hope there's
you
some
guys
snow
have
for
a
me.
blast. Happy holidays. Thank you.
Happy
Thank you
holidays,
so
y'all.
much. Like I said,
Thank you.
anyone who's not
Thanks so
checked
much
out
for
these
having
guys'
us.
pod, make sure you check it out. It's a fantastic, fantastic show. So yeah, thank you so much, guys. And looking forward to the show with Trish and Sarah. And happy holidays and happy New Year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks
so
for having
much.
us.
Thanks,
Being
y'all.
here.
Thank you. Oh my god, those guys are a fucking
They are
absolute
great.
blast. I'm not lying, Andrew. Obviously,
They are great.
my favorite show and stuff. But honest, when that sort of pops in the pod feed, they're fucking absolutely brilliant. So yeah, if you've never checked their show out, it's like that, except more of the same sort of like, and yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff. As we wait for our sort of like next guest to come on, so we're talking about CM Punk earlier, Andrew. Is there anyone else that sort of like you feel like? I know Jey Uso's been getting a load of pelters and stuff in WWE this year. But how do you think his year's gone? Because like I said, sort of like I sort of checked out a bit around WrestleMania and I've sort of hit in bits and there. And obviously he was a big entrance and he did sort of like a lot of stuff. He obviously gets the big reactions when he comes in. But as far as like in ring goes, he never really sort of had it for me as sort of like a big main event guy, because it was like that old saying of, oh, he's an entrance and then the bell goes and then or am I being too harsh on him here?
I think it's fair critiques on both sides of the aisle. Like when I look at his 2025, and like we specifically talking about that. I mean, go back to he got his main event WrestleMania, and that I think that was like the when he initially came back, that was like the big thing surrounding his comeback and his return. It was if he was going to get the main event, and he finally got it. It was the night one version, but regardless, still got his main event. And he got his world title win at SummerSlam against Gunther, got cashed in on, and Saudi Arabia thing. That the Saudi thing was so because he rightfully got called out for that, and it was more so I was more so interested to see his response to being called out, and I think you can kind of tell it was kind of like what Benno said, that Punk is like in it for the long game at WWE. Like I don't think this is gonna be some like it all ends with him wrestling. I think that he'll end up trying to parlay that into being some type of executive, whether that just I mean it could be as simple as him being running NXT, but as far as his year, it's just I mean I don't think it was bad per se. I think it was fine for what it's been. The whole Saudi thing, I think that kind of clouds a lot of stuff, because I think just for so many years, a lot of people have always looked at Punk to be that like an outlier, or the individual who speaks out against certain things, and again, I think it's because that's the reason why that bothered a lot of people is because he's taken that stance for so long, and I think people have grown accustomed to expecting him to have a certain take and a certain when it comes to things as such, to for him to be on one particular side of the aisle versus the other. And I guess for people to see him cave in like that, it kind of drew a lot of people back from him as well. And like, regardless of whatever the situation was, like, I know Triple H tried to explain, he was like, well, he's an adult now, he's grown up now, that whole thing. But again, when you constantly present yourself as an individual who rebels against the powers that be, and you take this hard stance, and people start to believe in you, they are going to constantly expect that from you. So once you take this other stance, and you present it as if, oh, well, things change, and you grow up and X, Y, and Z. Like, I mean, in some cases that can be true, but also, again, in this pro wrestling space that we're in, when you have people putting that much equity into you, and they expect these things from your real life persona, not even just the individual that you play on TV, that can be disheartening to a lot of people. So I can definitely see why people sort of pull back away from their fandom of CM Punk, if you will.
Yeah, because I always obviously enjoyed him on the Indies, and it was great seeing him back in AEW, and I enjoyed his initial WWE run. But it was just, and I think Benno put it perfectly earlier. It was like, perhaps he was playing a character, or it was this, the voice of the voiceless, and the sort of like straight edge superstar, and it was a character all this time. Because I mean, nothing for me was more sickening than seeing him sort of like backtrack on the Saudi stuff. And obviously, he's with the company now, and he's got like a contract and everything that he's probably got to honor or whatever. But it just seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like, where's the guy from 5 years ago he would be hating you doing this sort of stuff now? But yeah, I suppose money talks, doesn't it, at the end of the day, and sort of like,
indeed it does.
Yeah, it's like Moxley said to him, oh, don't give me all that because I know you've only come back because you ran out of money, sort of thing. And I suppose that they were never sort of like truer words are spoken. But as far as match quality goes, do you think he's still got it in the ring, sort of thing? Like,
in the ring, yeah. I think he still got it in the ring. I can't take that away from him. I mean, I'm talking about your personal preference. I mean, I'm talking about for me. Like, I can't take that. I still think he can, go in the ring. And I often think it depends, again, on the like, I don't opposite from the promo side of it. I think when it comes to the in-ring portion of it, I think he just tries to go out there and present the best that he can at the age that he is. Because I mean, the thing about Punk matches now, when I watch him, especially most of the big matches that he's in, it's kind of like that. I hope he don't, like, not that I expect him to get hurt, but like, I know that his body's been through like a lot of wear and tear, so it like adds a little bit more not intrigue, because I don't want to make it seem like the idea of him getting hurt is like, and that's not what I'm saying, but I'm talking about like as far as him and the wear and tear that he put on his body, and to I guess try to see him go out there and try to cultivate some of the old, maybe even from 4 or 5 years ago, 3-4 years ago, to try to see him parlay that into 2025 or 2026 CM Punk. Like, I'm more so interested to see him versus Braun Breaker, because Braun is he does do a lot of physical things, like in terms of like the as far as his just the way that Braun goes about sort of his in-ring work. Like, I'm interested to see like how much like the physicality that he uses in regards to CM Punk, and like how they sort of go about all that. Like, does he just sort of tone it down for this one-on-one match? Because I do know it's like, even when like it's something small, like even like in award games or something like that, when I see Bronson Reed, how he handles CM Punk, like he handles him with a certain care that like opposed to like with another wrestler, he'll just full on just let him have it. But like with Punk, you can tell they kind of ease up on them just a tad bit, just to make sure that things don't go left or anything like that. But yeah, I guess that point is kind of like null and void a little bit, because I mean he did had the Hell in a Cell match with Drew McIntyre, and I think that was the best match on that show. That should smoke everything on that show, and that was one of the best matches that WWE presented all year that year. Probably the best match that WWE presented that year. So I mean, I guess my comment is kind of like null and void, I guess, when I bring that up. But yeah, Punk still go in the ring. I like the match he had with Gunther at SummerSlam too.
I suppose also another sort of like big story that we can sort of like touch on is that AJ Styles announced. Obviously, this year was all about John Cena's retirement, but AJ Styles, and obviously that made me feel so old, Andrew, because I remember sort of like AJ coming up in sort of like Ring of Honor and TNA and stuff like that, and I was a big fan of his, especially when he used to come over to the UK when he was still rocking the short hair before he had all the tattoos down the side and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's wild to think that he's going to be sort of like retiring after so many years, and it's like wild to think how long he's been in WWE now as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with AJ next year. Surely he's going to have a big match in TNA, you would have thought.
Yeah, I think so.
Year, yeah.
Like, would you because he just pinned Leon Slater at the Saturday Night's Main Event show. Do you think they probably run that back on the AMC debut show? Him versus Leon?
You would have thought so, because I think he's always. I remember they had a show local to me in Doncaster at 1PW, and it was when Pac was on the come up, and he had a sort of like proving ground match with AJ on that, and then they did the same thing with Ospreay and Red Pro. So AJ's always been a good sort of like barometer of whether you're good enough to go to that next level. So I mean. Yeah, I mean, Leon Slater is going to be chomping at the bit to be sort of like having sort of like a proper program with AJ Styles.
I got to give you proper credit because I remember when I first this is when I was doing when I was like Sicily doing interviews. I remember one of the people that shout out to Chris. What's up, Chris? I ain't seen Chris in a minute, man. I remember you had pointed me in the direction of, this is before I heard of Leon. This is before TNA. This is before, like this was my first time hearing about Leon, and I remember Martin had DM'd me. He was like, "You should check out this dude named Leon Slater." I think Leon was like 19 at the time.
He was probably like 16 at the time, I think. Yeah.
Like he was definitely in his teens. I remember Martin had DM'd was like, "You should reach out to him and see if y'all can do an interview." And Martin sort of got me ahead on the 8-ball on Leon Slater. So it's been kind of cool to see his journey and like where he's at right now. And like, dude, whenever I cover like interviews and I'm hearing like a TNA wrestler speak about like who they think is like next up, they always say, like, all of them always say Leon Slater. They always say him. And like I did it was on the show yesterday. We was talking about or the other day, and we were talking about how like WWE, it was like joking about WWE is doing like the most obvious like contract tampering with Leon Slater. Because like,
well, I know he's still supposed to be appearing in Red Pro and stuff as well.
Yeah. He got indie dates and stuff. Like he did get pulled from that WXW show though for Cena's final match. And like, you know, like Leon wrestled that Deadline, and then he was on NXT on the tape show last night, and then now he's going to be in one of the headlining matches at the New Year's Evil special on January 6th. He's going to be challenging for the NXT Championship as a TNA wrestler. So like,
crazy.
I know, right? So like when I'm seeing that, I'm like, you can tell that WWE, they got their eyes on Leon. And the dude Carlos Silva, he said, the president, Carlos Silva, TNA president, he said something crazy in the interview. He was like, I think it was on Off the Ropes, the podcast, and he said that if a TNA wrestler wants to get the WWE, he'll do his best to like make sure that they get there. And I'm like, you. So, but the only reason I say that's crazy, I mean, those comments were made before the AMC deal was announced, but he was hinting at some type of television deal. But still, even with that thought process in mind, I'm like, dude, you have your own new television product that is about to kick off in 2026. I mean, again, even though this wasn't announced yet, but he was still hinting that something was coming. Yeah, you would think that you would be of this mindset, like, I got to retain my people, like my top talent. I need to make sure everybody stays, because I mean, you can't keep. I'm not saying you can't rely on the talent exchange, but you should also want to make sure that you got top people of your own who want to stay in TNA, and they're not looking like, oh man, well, I'm gonna do a couple years here and then I'm over there. And I mean, even though they can still cross back and forth, you can still, want them to be under contract to your specific company.
Definitely. Yeah, it's mad to think I saw him in a nightclub sort of like 5 minutes away from my house when he was 15 years old wrestling. So yeah, all the power to him. But Andrew, Joining us next, our next guest is up in the room now from Post Wrestling and his regular appearances on the SmackDown reviews and of course the Wellness Policy.
This is who I
It's the
think it is.
voice of Post Christmas. It's everyone's favorite. Mine and your favorite. It's Mr. Neil Flanagan. Neil, welcome to the show, mate. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Look at
Hey,
this
there's
guy,
Andrew.
man.
Andrew,
this
my
guy.
man. I miss
What's up?
Andrew. I miss
What's up,
Andrew.
bro?
Everything's great, but I miss you, Andrew. Don't get me
You too,
wrong.
man.
Jack Wannon, he's great. The
Shout out to Jack.
Jackster,
That's
the
my
Wan
guy,
man,
man.
he's tremendous. He's wonderful. But see, on some of these big weekends where there's multiple PLEs and stuff, I miss Tompers. Like the way we carved up some of the work those weekends for writing on the site was something else.
It's good to
Hey.
see you, man.
It's great to see you. But hey, I was listening, I can't agree more. Like Leon Slater is definitely bound for WWE.
yeah.
I think one of the real like plus marks that he got was probably just this past weekend. Like he basically kind of rescued the match from that botch.
Oh yeah.
You know, very, very quick thinking to go for, you know, a quick kind of 2 count
I know,
pin,
right?
and then, you know, get up on the ropes rather than any sort of like for a young guy, you know, on that stage, you know, rather than any sort of like, oh shit, what do we do now? You know, and you could see that AJ respected it too because he got a big hug from him at the close of the match.
So Martin, what Neil talking about, I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but AJ, they had the tag match at the Saturday Night's main event, and AJ had went for his phenomenal form, but he went for the springboard and he like slipped off the rope. And instead of like Leon like waiting around, like he bolted over to AJ and like went to go pin him, and then gave him some time to like, you know, recoup and recover. So like I had completely forgot about that, but yeah, that was a solid move by Leon for him to be him and Javon Evans, man. That's like there is so much like mileage that I think is going to be gotten out of both of them, singles talent and tag team wise. And it was funny to hear that that comment. I think it was from Mark Henry when he was like talking about Javon. He was like, "Yeah, man, you know, 15 years from now, Javon's going to be the man." I'm like, 15 years from now, 15. Like, what do you like? 15? Like, he's ready. Like, but see, I think that's one of the things that I'm not a fan of in terms of like a lot of pro wrestling companies. Like they always do this thing where it's like you think that you gotta wait until somebody's in their like late 30s or early 40s to like finally get like they wait till they finally see. I'm like, do you like, especially the connection that Leon and Javon have individually and collectively? I'm like, both of them, they're ready right now. Yeah. They're ready. It's just a matter of you positioning them in the right spot and making sure things go smoothly. But like how Neil said, like and Maddie B said in the chat, like that was incredible instincts by Leon.
It's really I completely agree with you as usual, Andrew. But it's also weird because like it's almost a newish thing. Like if you go back to the 1980s and stuff, Vince used to think his talent were aging out. At 35, Macho Man was kind of like
age in the cage.
Yeah, incredible, you know. And now, like that's not nearly old enough. You know, you might get out of NXT and onto the roster, you know, in your mid 30s. It's kind of crazy, you know. But yeah, I completely agree with you on that score. And I think there is a lot of mileage in the two of them. Perhaps I could see them being. Well, Javon will probably get the call first, and then when Leon's contract is due, I don't know when that is.
He's going to WWE. He's going.
I could see he's going to WWE. Yeah.
And you could see them pairing them together, and then maybe having them, you know, have a feud together as well. You know, you could do the sky's the limit with those guys.
I was just telling Martin right before you joined when I saw him when they aired the tape show yesterday, and I saw that he won the 4-way to challenge Obafemi for the NXT title in New Year's Eve. I was like, yeah, brother, times are ticking. I was like, yeah, he's on his way out. Like, and I'm not. I don't think that it'll be like some big dramatic thing. I think that TNA will try to retain him, and they'll try to, you know, be like, man, like you getting close to this TNA world title, like just stick around, hang with us type of thing. I don't think he'll go like immediately, but I think by the time like Leon's probably like 25. Like, I think he's, he's out of there.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's great having the two post reporters, as Matty B put earlier, the dream team.
That's
the
my guy,
dream
man.
team of post wrestling, the reporters back together.
Let me say something real quick. Neil was one of the best people that I've ever worked with in news writing space. Martin, I'm telling you, this dude, I'm talking about any time. Bro, I remember one time I was having issues with my computer, right? And again, I always make sure to give Neil his proper flowers because he's in a different time zone. And like I always told him that, I'm like, dog, you're in a different time. Like these shows are like 9 o'clock at night my time. It's like fucking 12 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 3 in the morning where he's at, right? And I remember one time I was having some issues. This was the NXT after WrestleMania. I'll never forget this. This was April this year. I was having some issues with my computer, and I was like, my thing would just not work. I don't know what it was. I think I had some update that wasn't going through. And I had messaged Neil. I was like, dog, I can't, my computer's like acting real buggy. I can't do nothing right now. I can't cover NXT. Neil hit me back immediately. He was like, I got you. And I'm like, thankful for this man. Thankful because my computer and get right until the next day because I had to go through this whole update thing. But like, it was just, it's been multiple instances, more than I can count, like that when I've been able to contact Neil and be like, hey, can you take care of this? Or if it was a PLE or a pay-per-view or whatever, I'd be like, hey, can you take this one? I take that one. Or hey, can you fill in for me? Or X, Y, and Z. Or if it was a specific day on the weekend that I needed, and Neil be like, yeah, I got you, or vice versa. He was always there, bro. Like always. So I always make sure to give Neil his flowers, bro. That's one of the best people, legitimately, that I've ever worked with in the wrestling news, right? And one of the most dependable individuals that I've worked with in the wrestling news space. So yeah, shout out to Neil, man. I have a tremendous amount of respect for Neil as a news writer. He's a great person as well too, from the personal conversations that we've had throughout the years.
The checks in the mail.
I was gonna say, yeah.
And you used the phrase vice versa there, and I'm going to as well. It's absolutely worked both ways. There were times when I was sick, or there was times where things come up, and Andrew would again just jump in there with both feet and take over and say, "I've got you." It's an amazing guy to work with.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Neil, have you got to shoot off? Because I was thinking we've got our next guest in the waiting room, a sort of fellow writer, Chad Gelfand, who we're going to get on the show in a minute. But I kind of feel like there'll be a crossover discussion about sort of like some of the things you guys have been watching. If you won't mind staying on,
I can stay.
Joining Chad in that discussion. Excellent. Well, without further ado, let's get our next guest on. He's a contributor to Fanside of DDT, Heavy Sports, and many, many more. It's Mr. Chad Gelfand, if he's
Hey,
what's up,
going?
Chad? Thanks for joining us after holidays, mate.
How's it going?
That's my guy, man. What's up, Shay? How you feeling, bro?
Good.
Good to see you, man.
Yeah, good to see you guys too.
Good to meet you, Chad. We've not met before.
Good. Nice to meet you, Neil.
Virtually meeting for the first time. Yep. Excellent. There you go. The Bushby and Thompson Wrestling Holiday Show, bringing people together.
Hey, Martin, I'm about to say, Chad, one of the OG. Well, we got two of the OG people from the Bushby and Thompson wrestling adventure.
Oh yeah, I think it was King of the Ring 2002 and then Royal Rumble 2002.
Yes, well remembered.
Bro, I will never forget when we did the King of the Ring show, Chad, when we read the Chris Jericho's blog post about why people were upset about the match with Rob Van Dam.
The potentially return to WWE, Chris Jericho too.
Yeah, man. Yeah, Ray. Shout out Ray.
While we've got you both on, I know there was a couple of sort of like points that you wanted to raise, Chad, some of your favorite, and it's kind of leads into Andrew and Neil, the discussion you were having before, not only about the sort of like the NXT, because it's not a show that I really watch, so I'm interested in your guys' three's opinions, and I know, Chad, you definitely wanted to touch on. And these guys have been talking about the rise of Leon Slater, but the rise of Obafemi and Javon Evans and what great sort of like 2025s they've had, Chad.
Yeah, I think they've really established themselves this year as like the future of WWE and like guys that are like can't miss prospects. Like you see like Obafemi, I think he's like one of the most like well-rounded wrestlers that's come to WWE in like maybe the past decade. Like you see like his presence, his mic work, his in-ring work, like everything about Obafemi right now. Like you can see him being a top guy. And then you see Javon Evans, and he just has like a charisma that you can't teach. Like he also has like an athleticism that like makes him stand out, but he also has like a personality that people can get behind as well. He has like a Jeff Hardy type of quality to him, where you just have like a unique type of charisma to you.
Hey, Chad, do you think one of the more appealing things about Javon Evans is that he's allowed to be like authentically himself? Like it doesn't feel like he's playing Javon Evans. It feel like he just is Javon Evans on TV, and I know he's even spoken about that like in media appearances when he talked about like he doesn't get promo material that doesn't sound like him. Like they kind of let him sort of work it out however he feels and convey that to the audience. Like, do you think that's probably one of the most appealing things about Javon Evans as a wrestler?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Like he seems like he's like unscriptable. Like a writer couldn't really like capture his vibe on like without his like input into it. And I think that like you see that on TV as well. That he like that makes him stand out from like other people, where it seems like they're just like kind of like reading like directly from the script. In NXT, you kind of expect that because like this is like they're new to this. This is their training ground stuff, but I think that also makes him stand out from other people as well. That he seems like he's authentically himself.
What about you, Neil? Is NXT something that you've been checking out much of, and sort of these guys, Obafemi and Javon Evans?
Sometimes I only catch the highlights that they put together the day after, because Andrew was saying about my sleeping habits, and they are kind of late. But in the beginning of the week, it is difficult for me to stay up on a Tuesday night until like 3 a.m. just to watch NXT. So I don't catch it live very often, but I always watch their specials and I keep up with what's happening because I need to for the news. But I completely agree with Chad that Javon sort of really stands out. Opa's another one who really stands out as a presence on those shows, and there's an authenticity to it that some of those backstage segments just don't have.
Yeah,
they're very scripted.
Hey, Chad, let me. Did you get to see what happened last night on the tape show with Thea Hill?
Oh yeah, that was a whole mess.
Martin and Neil, did y'all get a chance to see that?
Yes, that I saw.
No, I didn't get a chance yet. No,
dude. So again, this was I think this was a tape show. I mean, no, this was a live show, and they taping the next 2 episodes today. My bad. But so Thea Hill had faced Blake Monroe for the Women's North American title, the former Mariah Ray. She did like this springboard, landed on her back first, and she went for the pin, hooked her leg, and the referee went for a straight shoot count, and Blake didn't get her shoulder up until like after the 3 count. So she like legitimately won the title from Blake, and then now they have to like pivot. Because imagine, again, they're taping the show, so they got to figure out the creator for the next 2 weeks of NXT that did not have Thea Hill being champion at all. It was like a whole thing. But Chad, what did you make of that when you first saw that happen?
I was just confused at first. I was like, how did that happen? I was like, did Blake Monroe get like knocked out for like a second or what? Because she was like a half a second late to putting her shoulder up, but also kind of looked like Thea Hill kind of like had her like tight in like the pin for like maybe like a second too long. Like it seemed like it was just like a whole bunch of things that led to that.
Hey guys, let me just cut in a sec. So I've received, this guy was supposed to be on our show sort of like 10-20 minutes ago, and he's driven miles to find service. He had no service. So I'm going to introduce him into the discussion. So it's Mr. Jay Lacey is on the show, guys. So hey Jay, thank you so much, mate. Drove miles. This guy drove miles to get some service on his phone because he had no service. So yeah, thanks for coming on, mate.
Hey, no worries, man. My apologies, man. I'm out here in Arizona, over in the Phoenix area. My son just walked from Arizona State, so that's why I'm over here. But I got a beef with Arizona right now, man. I ain't got no cell service. I got to drive like 10. Man, I try not to do the stereotypical CPT time and everything, but they got me out here doing this, man. So, but glad to be with y'all. Thank you for the invite.
Hey, Jared, congratulations to your son too, man. Congratulations, man.
So much.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir.
one thing we were going to get into, Jay, and I suppose we can sort of like have a round robin on this. How, and we'll start with you, Jay, and then go Chad, and then Neil, and then Andrew. You can throw in your opinions. Yeah. How do you feel John Cena's sort of like retirement year has gone? We've had the heel turn, we've had the sort of like match with Gunther. As a whole, for you, how do you guys feel it's gone? We'll go with you first, Jay.
You know what? I think there was a lot of potential right there. They could have done so many different things, but it's almost like for everything they did good, which was very few, there's a lot of things that left to be desired. Like the heel turn was done excellent. I mean, they could have told so many different stories with, John saying that they could have gone with, the premise of him saying like, yo, crowd, you were using me. He could have changed everything, his look, his music, his presentation, but it was lazily done. And there was so much meat on the bone for that. And there could have been so many other things that they did, but they chose not to. But in totality.
Oh no, okay, I think we're losing him. It's that fucking signaling. What is wrong with Arizona? I know it's a desert, so they've got some masts.
I say you could tell his connection shot to hold on. There you go.
In terms of his career, I mean, he's the wrestler in the WWE's aspect.
Oh, Jay, we're losing you, mate. Oh, no, good.
But I agree with
You can't take the career he's had from himself. Sold the Make-A-Wish things that he's done for man. But I am happy that he did tap out because the man that said never give up, gave up.
You were breaking up loads for there, Jay, but the point stands on that one. Yeah, Mike, thank you. Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with everything Jay was saying there about John Cena, how the heel turn had so much potential, but they just seemed to botch it like every step of the way. Like from them not really having a plan after they brought in Travis Scott and The Rock into the picture, to the R-Truth stuff, to to John Cena basically just becoming like a generic heel when his heel turn could have been like so much. He was just like a you people insult like the city that he was in. Like it seemed like,
oh my god, bro!
It seemed like it was just very lazily done. Like the most anticipated heel turn maybe in wrestling history, and it seemed like they had no ideas. It just seemed like very baffling how it was handled. But I actually initially I didn't really like the tap out from Cena because I just felt like the crowd was just like that's not what they were there for. They were there it seemed like to celebrate Cena. But after I thought about it, I think I agree with it with Gunther, and especially like the way that he did it too. I thought it was kind of poetic that he fought really hard in the end, but then he kind of just like accepted like, okay, I fought like as hard as I could. I gave all I could. I'm okay with tapping out here. I'm okay with ending my career. He had that like smile, it like washed over him that he was okay with giving up his wrestling career in that moment. That's why he tapped out with a smile on his face.
Hey, Chad, just a follow before we pass it over to Neil. Do you think it bothered Triple H that he got booed?
Oh yeah, see, that's partially why I liked it too. Triple H is getting booed. I was like, the one decision that I actually agree with that he's made in the past 2 months, and he's getting booed over it. So I was like, I'm okay with this. This is for the 10 other decisions that you've botched. But yeah, I think Triple H. I think he kind of got flustered there too. You kind of see it on his face, especially in like the post show, that he was not anticipating that whatsoever.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. Neil, what were your quick thoughts on the whole Cena debacle from this year?
I agree with the guys. Like the night of the heel turn was executed brilliantly. That moment in a company that's obsessed with giving the moments, was done really well. But the follow up was dismal. It made absolutely no sense. How did The Rock figure into all of this? And Travis Scott, and then the actual heel run was poor because, as Jay was saying, just and Chad, the you people very generic heel thing, and it didn't give the people what they wanted on his final tour. People who had paid a lot of money They wanted to sort of celebrate John Cena, you know, in his final run. So all of that wasn't great. I also, just one other note. I know they're building Brock up for something big in the coming year, but I really hated that destruction of Cena at WrestleMania in that opening match. I really didn't like it, and it's not just because I dislike Brock, which I do,
Right.
but I just thought it was bad booking.
Yeah.
And as for the tap, I was on the fence too. On the night, I didn't like it. I thought the never give up guy gave up. What about the kids, man? You know, and maybe I'd rather he passed out. But I've been thinking about it since, and it's, you know, it does a lot for Gunther, that's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. But guys, it's been great having you guys on. Jay, thank you so much. Your connection was all over the shop, but thank you for making the attempt, and thanks for coming on, mate. We'll really appreciate it. Right. Before we get our next guests on, Neil, plugs from you, mate.
Plugs, the wellness policy on Post Wrestling, everything Post Wrestling. Just go to postwrestling.com and check it out.
Cheers, Neil. Chad?
Yeah, you can just check my articles out at heavy.com, heavysports.com. I write about the Seahawks, Ravens, and Panthers. So check them out. Yeah.
Excellent. And Jay, if we can get you.
Yeah, I'm steady for right now. So you can check me out on the Nefarious Network. I'm on the show Ring Theory with Gerard Brown.
Great show.
Yeah. Check us out. Follow us on YouTube. Check me out on Instagram at Jarek_wins. And thanks for the invite, guys.
No, thanks for coming on, mate. And thanks
appreciate y'all coming on, man.
I know you've had a lot of things. And thanks, Chad, and thanks, Neil. And you guys all have a great Christmas and a happy New Year.
You too.
Yep. Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. You too, mate. And Andrew, we have our next two guests on now. Joining us, one of my favorite podcasts in the last couple of years, like I said, with the Tunnel Talk guys. It's great discovering new podcasts. And it is Trish and Sarah from the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. Sorry, guys, we're running a few minutes late, but thanks for holding on the line. I know Trish literally has just walked out of the Dynamite at Manchester Arena. Is that right?
Hey.
Enraged.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's a spoiler. We're not doing that.
Nope.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
It's good to see y'all, man. Thanks, y'all, for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
I should say I have a little bit of a head cold, but I'm going to do my best here. Trish was like, Sarah will do most of the talking. And I'm like, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to.
I think that was just wishful thinking. I was like, if you do most of the talking, then I don't have to. And like I said stuff last year. They're bored of me already. They need you. They need some entertainment.
Never. Well, obviously, your guys' show is great for the analysis and obviously looking deeper into the sort of like business side of things. Was that when you guys first started the show? We'll go with you, Sarah. Sorry about your head cold, but was that a conscious decision? Were you like, oh, we really want to sort of like delve more into the business side of things, or was that something that sort of like developed as was from show to show?
I think it was more for us in looking at like, you could put a podcast out, but like, what are people not doing? And I think for us, we saw a lot of opportunity to kind of talk about like data and say like, here's the data, here's what the data says, here's what the trends are showing us, here's what we're seeing, and here's our rationale behind why we think this, and here's that kind of stuff, as opposed to sort of just doing like a recap or like an emotional feels about how we thought about an episode or stuff like that. And I think the business side of it is something that people do cover, and I feel like we but not a lot of women cover it. So I think that helped us a little bit too. So we weren't afraid of that. So yeah, but I think both of us like to analyze numbers and trends. Those are things we're big fans of. So it spoke to both of us.
As they said, just to follow up on that, and then we could pass it over to Trish. Like, how do you guys sort of feel about your 2025 as far as you guys' podcast go? Like, how do you think things have progressed? And what are you guys looking forward to as the new year is about to come about?
I feel like, one of the things about podcasting is, we record our shows and then we post them like about 36 hours later. And I think there's always that period from when you record, and I know Trish will agree with this, to when you post it, where you're just like, I'm an idiot. I said a bunch of stupid fucking stuff. Nobody's going to pay any attention to what I said. What was I thinking? I'm a moron. And then it goes live and people are like, wow, I hadn't considered that. What a great point. What a terrific data. I'm so glad you guys covered this. And I'm like, oh, okay. I mean, imposter syndrome is real. So, I think we covered a good topics this year. I think we do, we're lucky in that we only go every 2 weeks. And I think it gives us the opportunity to really only discuss the stuff that we really want to talk about, as opposed to feeling like we just have to fill time. I think we both felt very strongly about that when we started. And for us, it's, we're going to talk about what we feel strongly about, what we feel educated about, or what we feel like we can bring something to the table on. And that's kind of where we're at. I feel like for 2026, we're just going to keep trucking along, Trish is going to kick off the year in Japan. So we'll be doing some Wrestle Kingdom live reviews, which I'm very excited and jealous about for her.
That's going to be a lot of fun, because I think this is a really critical Wrestle Kingdom. This is the Wrestle Kingdom in effect with Tanahashi's retirement.
Hey, Trish, I wanted to ask you this. What did you make of so the night before the Dome, Takesha's going to be wrestling for a DDT. I just need your analysis on the sort of the thought process behind this man being in the double main event of the Tokyo Dome, and the night before he's going to be wrestling for DDT. I'm trying to in DDT's mind, the people who book DDT. What thought process is going through their mind when they think that, because I'm assuming that he's going to be probably in the finals of the Continental Classic against Okada at World's End, and then a couple days later wrestle for DDT, and then the night after in the Dome. I'm keep thinking about that Dome match, and if I hope nothing goes wrong, but it's like back-to-back nights. That's tough right there.
I think what you have to look at is Takeshita. One, not everybody's built like Takeshita, right? But you've got to look at it. I guess it's no different to doing, it's actually less than doing the semi-finals and the finals of the G1, which has similar expectations in a way. Yes, it's in the stadium and everything to do with that, but I don't think these guys look at it any differently. He's only going to be it's just a multi-man match, right? So it's not like
probably.
You would hope so. He's under no threat, sort of thing. But yeah, look, you can't stop them. This is the thing in Japan, Like think about it this way: like G1 semi-final, he got knocked silly. He silly. He couldn't remember the match, and he goes out and he wrestles the final the next day. Unfortunately, in some ways, that's just what they do. So I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine. He'll be fine with Tsuji, and they've got a lot to deliver, because Takesha's taken a lot of stick this year in Japan, to be quite honest with you, a lot of stick.
Right.
So it's, and because I think it's harder when you come from DDT, it's always harder going to New Japan. Bushby found the same thing. But yeah, I think it's not that they've rejected him, but they've not given him the kind of the reception that maybe you would hope for at this point. And the only way he's going to do it is to keep going out in the ring and being Takesha. And I think him and Tsuji will do well. I think Tsuji's massively underrated. I go on and on and on about it. But I do think that together they can do something really clever there, and hopefully they go with the right result and propels them into next year, because it's a big year for them. You've no Naito now, no Tanahashi, no Okada, no Ospreay, no Jay White. It's now or never now. You're going to have to stand on your own 2 feet, and that's where we are.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a very interesting sort of year for New Japan. Yeah, definitely. I feel like for the past couple of years, we're in a bit of a transition period. But moving away from New Japan and sort of onto AEW, and we'll start with you, Sarah. Obviously, we won't be talking about why you hate Will Ospreay so much.
You got me with that one, Martin. Thank you.
I love that was one of your shows. You were like, I don't hate Will Ospreay, but anyway, on to Hangman.
She hates Will Ospreay.
Yeah, well, on to Hangman Page's second title reign. So obviously we had the big win against Mox at All In. The great defense against Kyle Fletcher. The match quality was there, and like you guys have said, not everyone should have a sort of big title reign. It shouldn't go on for years or whatever. But as far as the business, the reign, the live attendances, the WWE counter programming, a lot to unpack, and you guys have unpacked it throughout the indoor show. But sort of in a nutshell, did you feel that it was successful as a title reign?
I think from a business standpoint, yes, it was successful as a title reign. I think, the numbers show that, and I think there's no argument there. I think creatively, it had its ups and downs. Trish and I like to disagree on this one a little bit. I think it was more successful than his first title reign. I don't think it was as successful as it could have been. I think, and it was, sort of truncated a little bit. The fact that he's been feuding with Samoa Joe since, or what is it, October now, is ridiculous. I mean, like, again, we've talked about this, and I think you guys were speaking about Javon Evans and Leon Slater and the future of WWE in the earlier segment. But I think when you look across the board at some of these promotions, it's like, why do we, especially AEW, wwhy are we going back to the well with some of these older guys when we have so many young, talented wrestlers, up and coming wrestlers that would die for a spot? Let's, put a 6-week reign for Samoa Joe. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but what can I tell you?
Like just to follow up on that, like I've always been of this mindset when it comes to title reigns. It could be world title or any mid card title, whatever the situation is. I think that people have grown like very accustomed to like every championship reign needing to be like this long crusade over the course of a year. I'm like, dude, things can be like you can get like a good 2 months in, 3 months in. It can be effective. You can get a bunch of feuds in, but get a couple title matches in. It does not have to be this trek through like a whole year's journey.
I agree with that. And I think when it comes to Hangman, if we'd seen a better quality of opponents for him, I think the Fletcher feud was fantastic, which we definitely agree with. And I think the MJF match was very good. I think the build up to that was sort of hit or miss for me. But I think, the Samoa Joe stuff is
Look
just...
at Trish.
I know. I think the Samoa Joe stuff has been kind of like meh, because I don't think Joe doesn't really give his opponents a lot to work with from a feud perspective. But I think, I think for lengthwise, I agree with you. I think the idea that you have to have year-long reigns is sort of ridiculous. Like, we could shorten some of these things up. But at the same time, I appreciate that people feel like that makes it more meaningful and yada, yada, yada. But
Trish, Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah. I had no issue if they'd done a short reign. I just thought if you're going to do a short reign, then he should be the focus of the show in the way that they do other people in the song. And he wasn't. He had 5 weeks where he was, and then he wasn't. And that it was very much, he was on the back burner, and they were very much, who do we find for him next? They had no plan, which is pretty much inexcusable. Outside of MJF at the end, it was pretty much inexcusable because you've had since May. They knew he was winning all in May, so it's like you have to do better in that regard. But yeah, he just never had the focus. That was the thing that's rolled over from the first reign, is that he's not the centerpiece of the show, and when he's champion, and I thought he was very good in his role. I thought he was much better actually this time around than he was last time. Much more confident. His promos were stronger. And I think he adapted to things quicker. But I think what happened was when you get to the Joe reign, the Joe bit, is that they kind of restricted his range, right? Because you're then saying, okay, so the babyface needs to get revenge to look like a smart babyface, and instead you geek him, and then we know what's coming next. So it's like, it's hard to be happy with the ending when it's kind of weakens him as a babyface to the point where I actually wonder, you look at how many turns, there's going to be a lot of babyface turns next year, right? It's Takeshita, we know Mox is coming. I wouldn't be surprised to see Okada, so, and then obviously Ospreay is going to be back. So you have to wonder, a big thing for him is to figure out, where do I go from here without like that kind of charge for the world title, and how do I compete with all these people that are kind of going to have the momentum to turn? So I think that's it. I said we've always said this. Everyone says, "Oh, you wanted a long run." No. We wanted one with focus and one that was treated right from beginning to end. And we got 5 weeks, and that was nice, but we didn't get the rest. And then we'll see what happens. We'll see where he is in 6 months, see where he is in 12 months, and that will tell you, how invested they are at that point. But I thought it was a shame. I just thought it was a shame. I thought he was very good. I thought with what he had, and his range got reduced as they went into Joe stuff, I thought he was really good. But everyone wants to tell me we all just care about long reigns, and you're not happy that your favourite's not champion or stuff like that. And it kills me. Yeah. It's like, that's not the point. That was never the point, and that was never what we said. But that's the way of the world. It's the way of the world, isn't it? It's the way of the world these days. Yeah.
But great point there. Yeah, I didn't even think that. Sort of like with Ospreay coming back, and then the turns we're going to see, and then Moxie will obviously be going babyface to take on the Death Riders and stuff. So yeah, we're going to be cluttered with babyfaces come 2016. So yeah, very interesting point. But Trish, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. short
Thank
and
you for having
sweet.
us.
We'll let you get back to the show, Trish. Thanks for and thanks, Sarah. Sarah, do you want to hit us with your plugs before you guys head out of here?
Yeah, so we have the Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast is every other Tuesday. We have our own holiday extravaganza coming up on Tuesday the 23rd, which is our crossover show with the Tunnel Talk Gals. I love
It's ludicrous.
It's a ludicrous extravaganza. It's probably going to appeal to about 5 people, 6 people, 5 of which are us. But you know what? We had a great time. I hope you guys will enjoy it. And then we'll be back the first Monday or the first Tuesday in January with Trish giving us a full reporting of Wrestle Kingdom Live. And we'll be going through all that stuff, talking about some other stuff. And then obviously the Social Suplex newsletter is up at socialsuplex.com. So please check that out. We're all very proud of that. And a lot of great reporting features, everything else you could possibly find there. So those are my plugs, guys. Thank you so much for having us.
No problem. Appreciate y'all coming on.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Happy holidays,
We'll let you get
everybody.
back to the show,
You
Trish.
too.
Yeah, have a great Christmas, guys. Yeah, Happy New Year. Have a great time in Japan, Trish. See you later, guys.
Thank you. Take
Thank
care.
you very much.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.
They're great.
Right. Well, no, fantastic
They're great.
guest. Yep. Fantastic. I can't believe Trish left her seat
They
at
should
the
have said
AEW show to come and chat to us. Yeah.
I know, right? Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy. That's great. Yeah, always great chatting to them guys. What, Andrew, our next guest is up now, running sort of like 10 minutes behind, but joining us now, contribute to Fansided, DDT, Bell to Bells, and much, much more.
That's my guy right here, man.
It is Mr. Chris G. Chris,
Let's
thanks
go.
for joining us, mate, and holding on the line for a while.
Oh,
No, can we
we ain't got no sound coming from you, Chris.
yeah, having a few mic issues there with Chris to see if we can get that sorted out.
They say why he get that sorted out. Like we talking about. Like one thing I wanted to mention this during when Trish and Cheryl was on the show was the sort of one of the stories that we seeing sort of play out right now. It's like it's coming to. It seemed like it's happening. Is the down track, I guess, of Mercedes Moné, like the title reign thing, and I think it was I think that the whole belt collector thing is her loss to Red Velvet kind of showed the sort of effect that is going to have as it trickles down as she loses these other championships, and I think that a credit to Mercedes and what she's built as well. Because like the reaction that Velvet got when she beat her, it was like a shock thing. Like I think most people expected her to end up losing that match to Mercedes at Final Battle, and then she ended up winning, and she got probably one of the bigger reactions of the night, just out of pure shock, because nobody thought that Mercedes was going to end up losing the championship. So I'm very interested to see how the rest of that plays out and who AEW saws the roll with to take the TBS title off her. And I think once Mercedes is done with the belt collector thing, and like all these titles are gone, that's when they'll fast track her to the AEW Women's World Championship.
Oh yeah, definitely. Do you think she's going to lose the belts like from person to person, or lose them a few in one go, or how do you think that's going to play out for her?
I think it'll be like a person to person type deal. Like I think that like it of course for the independent promotion, she'll go back to those individual promotions and Chris back.
You guys, can you guys hear me?
Hey.
Oh yeah, you can
Let's
hear.
go.
Oh, awesome, mate. Yeah.
Chris, what's good, man? It's good to see you, man. How you
Yeah,
feeling?
man. Long time. I'm doing all right, guys. How you guys been?
Ain't no complaints, man. It's great to see you, brother. Great to see you.
Likewise. I know last year I did this and I had to follow Lyric Swinton. And I heard it's like, oh man, that's and then I listened in. I listened to the two ladies you had before me. I was like, man, I can't.
Hey, Chris. Like just to follow up on the conversation that Martin and I were having. We were talking about. We're seeing the sort of what appears to be the come down of the belt collector Mercedes Moné, and how I think it's a credit to Mercedes in this whole thing. The fact that the reaction that Red Velvet got when she beat her, it was like pure shock. Like the idea that Mercedes is like losing the title, it's like, oh my goodness. So like, as we sort of, I'm assuming, she's going to go one by one. She'll drop these championships, and then maybe the back end of it will be the TBS championship. Just off the top of your head, who are you looking at in AEW's women's division? Who you think Mercedes can pass that TBS title to? And then also on top of that, after she's done with the belt collector thing, do you think that it's only going to be like a natural progression to probably have her take like a month or 2 months off and then, you know, build her back up and then sort of fast track her to the AEW Women's World Championship, or how would you go about that?
Yeah, I think the plan, the end game for this is her winning the world title. I think, you know, the matches that she's had with Toni Storm and Statlander, and the big crux of those stories being that, you know, she can't win the big one, or that she can win all these titles except the world title. That's the only area where she seems to trip up every time. And of course now she's losing all these titles, and I think obviously she's going to gradually lose them. I don't think she's going to lose all of those titles one by one. Like, she's going to lose them one by one, but it's going to be gradual. Like, she's not going to lose them
like it's going to be like
month by
once
month.
every.
It's not going to be a 12-match losing streak or whatever. As far as who could beat her for the TBS title, I thought like my top choice for that was, and I guess could still be, Willow Nightingale. I think she makes a lot of sense. They have the connection. Obviously, when she came in and she won the TBS title, she beat Willow Nightingale, so they can always revisit that. They can come back to that. And I just think Willow, she's such a great babyface, and she's so over with the crowd. The crowds love her. I think that just makes the most sense to have her win and give her a real run with that championship. Whenever she's finished with with Harley Cameron and the tag team. So I think that makes the most sense. And I think from there, because we're already seeing it on television, the crash out is starting, that she's already starting to unravel, just losing one belt. So I think that they'll probably take her off of TV for a couple of, like you said, they'll probably take her off of TV for a couple of months, and they'll start to build her back up for a world title run, because I do think it's only a matter of time before she holds that title.
I was laughing at the comment Chris sent. He said we probably gonna see like the titles of indie. Yeah, I was laughing at that, and the only reason I'm laughing at it is because like I can see Tony Khan being like, "All right, she's not taking the pin," and like all these, it's like come like you're not about to be pinning one of my top stars. She's about to be dropping all these championships. Like I guess that's why I was laughing at it. I could definitely see Tony being like chiming in on some of these. Then like that's not happening. Triple threat, buddy.
No, definitely.
Well, I mean, that's how she dropped the New Japan title, right? They did a 3-way. And they had, I forget who it was, her, Mina. I forget the other wrestler. But
was it Azumi?
That I think so. Okay. But basically, it's one of those things. Well, triple threats generally exist so that someone doesn't have to get pinned anyway. So.
Definitely. As we sticking with AEW though, Chris, and we spoke a bit about him earlier, but one of the big stories out of AEW this year was Jon Moxley, and obviously I'm a huge Mox guy. Got to hold my hands up, like I said earlier, and said the start of the year, the Death Rider story felt like a bit of a slog, but then we had the match against Hangman. The match was against Darby Allin, his losing streak, this tease we're getting of the Death Riders turning on him, and I think Mox, like we were saying with Benno earlier, Andrew, has had a fantastic year, and he's turned out sort of like after sort of like few months, Chris, he's turning out sort of like wrestler of the year caliber yet again. You know, he's had a couple of those already. So yeah, it's great to see Mox sort of like back on top again.
Yeah. As far as your assessment of him potentially being a wrestler of the year candidate, I mean, I think his second half of the year has been that strong. Really post All In. Yeah, it was a rough start to the beginning of the year, to say the least. So many of those main events with Cope and so much interference. And it's one of those things where you can understand what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish, like trying to paint him as like this hypocrite heel. I also think that character-wise, the whole Death Riders thing lost a lot of steam at the beginning of the year, because remember how hot that thing started with him choking Bryan Danielson out with the plastic bag at late last year, and then he and the group sort of devolved into just being generic heels, which was kind of understandable. Like you can't have a guy go out and suffocate people with plastic bags every week or every other week. You can do that maybe once or twice as a shock value thing, but eventually you settle in, and the group sort of settled in as this just a typical heel group that interferes and cheats at every turn, and it got redundant after a while, and it got to a point where, I mean, you would hear some defenses of, oh, well, they're doing this and you're not supposed to like them and all this other stuff. But it's like, well, no, there's a difference between putting heat on a heel, putting heat on a character, and putting heat on the company for underwhelming creative. And that's what we were getting for the first few months. But then everything turned around. During the Page stuff. The Page program really turned everything around, and then we started seeing more inspired work from Moxley. And I really think, like, getting to work with guys like, I had to look and see, I had to revisit like the wrestlers he was working with after he lost the title, working with guys like Kevin Knight and working with guys like Bailey, and obviously working hard to put Kyle O'Reilly over towards the end of the year. Yeah. I think we really saw some inspired work, and it really reaffirmed just how important Moxley has been to this promotion, really since he joined at the company's inception.
Definitely, and I definitely get my vote for SOD. I know I was biased because I did a fucking podcast about him, but yeah. But Chris, thank you so much for coming on, mate. Any plugs that do you want to get out there?
Follow my work at Fansided DDT. I wrote a piece recently talking about technically 4 wrestlers, because I talked about the tag team, but 3 wrestlers that I think will win their first titles in AEW next year. You can follow me on Blue Sky at I'll make sure I got my Blue Sky.
Yep.
No, he went out.
He went out again. I
said you went out. You went out, Chris.
Oh yeah, your phone must come unplugged again. But yeah, you can follow me on Blue Sky at cg91.bsky.social. So we got you. But thank you so much, Chris. Have a happy holiday, mate. Merry Christmas. We'll catch you. We'll catch you soon.
All right, Chris. Peace, bro.
Peace. Thank you. No, great. Always great chatting to Chris there.
Yeah, Chris, good dude, man.
Yeah, great guy. Some great articles. Definitely check your stuff out on Fanside of DDT. But Andrew, we've got our penultimate guests on. You'll now join us next to 2 people from the Post Wrestling universe. You'll name for his MMA stuff with Post Wrestling, and of course his 500 appearances on Bushby and Thompson's Wrestling Adventure. And the next guy is joining us from a Wawa car park, apparently. So without further ado, let's get Eric Marcotte on and Brandon from New Jersey.
Hey.
Wow, we're back.
We are
back.
We are so back. How's the Wawa, Brandon?
Oh man, I just saw a couple skeeting. One had Delaware tags and the other one had Jersey tags, and they were both coming out of each other's vehicles and going into the opposite direction. I was like, oh man, this is the greatest. People watching and trouble happens around my way. What's going on?
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah, happy holidays. Happy holidays to the guys of New Jersey.
Let's go,
I miss you, Andrew, man. How are you, buddy? I know you're balling at Fightful, man. I love your work, man.
I appreciate you, man. I miss you too, man. It's good to. Well, I was about to say good to see you. It's good to hear you, man. And Eric, you too, bro. Good to see y'all, man.
No see.
This right here, this is filling my heart up right now. Man.
This is a proper reunion right now.
Can we get that comment off the screen, please? Get that comment off the screen. I'm not gonna repeat what that comment was. That was crazy. Chris Elliott said Brandon at a Wawa, shocking.
I'm on the clock, man. That's why you can't see me. I'm in a personnel vehicle right now, surrounded by cameras, man. Black Ops watching me, man. Big brother.
Brandon,
vehicle.
You mentioned you can't see me, man. What did you make of John
Oh my god! What a segue!
What a segue! Also, what did you think about Triple H getting booed and in that final segment?
Toucan Triple H, man. I love this, man. Oh man, what a legend, man! What a G! The way he booked the whole year and a half, riding the coattails of the bloodline, man. What a king! That's king shit, right, Eric?
King of kings, definitely.
Oh man, John Cena going out with a smile. Remember when Shawn lost his? I guess Triple H was like, "Hey man, go out smiling unlike my former compadre in the Click did when he lost his back in the day."
Not a great look, that was it.
Eric, what did you think of John Cena's run to the top and then his penultimate demise and compromise to a permanent end?
Compromise to a permanent end. I thought most of his run was pretty bad this year, honestly. I think the first half of it was just really poor booking. But I'm in the camp that actually did quite like the final match. I thought it was I thought it was a good send off for him. And you know what, with the crowd just booing Triple H at the end, it's like everything was about Triple H in the end. That's exactly what he wants at all times. So he's probably perfectly happy, and now everything's fine.
Wait, is the John Cena okay? Is that like the 5%er okay, or is that just like your normal standard okay? Like it's not like Proud Boys okay, right?
I don't think so. No. He doesn't strike me as that type. Now, if Triple H made that okay, like maybe you'd be onto something.
I don't see color. I just see bad booking.
I just see the green.
Hey, bro, I swear, that is something that will forever be burned in my brain. That bad blood. I think that's what that was. That bad blood press conference when he got up there and said that I don't see color shit. I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. I was like, that, but like I'm talking about just pure. I can't even get the fucking word out. That was just stupid. But
I don't handle these press conferences well.
He does not at all.
I'm not media trained, but I do know that I didn't see color, but I saw the pay window. There was a lot of money for Nick Khan.
Hey, Eric, when we talk about the John Cena retirement tour, I think one of the things that people are always going to circle back to, like regardless of how you thought it went, is the heel turn and The Rock's just disappearance after. And then he went on the Pat McAfee show and was just like, well, man, I thought it would be best, if I just went away. What? You were part of the whole thing. So like, Eric, as like now that it's fully over and you factor in like his appearance on the Pat McAfee show, him explaining that he just felt it was the best cause of action for him to just disappear from this whole thing. What did you make of the heel turn and then how it played out and then them pivoting back to Cena being a babyface?
And Eric, do the throat slash too, like what when The Rock did too. Like
what's the
Wait, but he did the throat slash, but he grabbed his lip while doing it was like the weirdest throat slash ever, man. It was the Jose Aldo.
I'm just going to interject there, but I remember waking up that morning after Elimination Chamber and reading like, oh my god, this angle was so
Eric.
brilliant.
What do you think of this? Come on.
It was brilliant. It was amazing. And then I flicked it on.
Can you hear Eric? I can hear him.
Can Brandon hear Martin? Because you're just talking over him.
That's what I'm saying.
I can't hear Martin. I'm sorry.
Okay,
Martin.
there we go. The man always reveals this kind of information a bit late, you know? Okay, well, to cut in then, I'm in the camp that day of, I didn't think it was good, okay? Not that the angle itself, of course, I totally understand why people were getting it, but I remember, like, I saw what happened, and I just looked and I was like, okay, literally for the first time in this man's 25-year career, everybody just wants to cheer him. Everyone just wants to have a good time, like, watching this guy be a good guy one last time. And now they're doing the heel run after, like, fucking 10 years of people begging for it. But I didn't think it was a good idea, and I think now everybody is in the same boat as me. It was bad. It sucked. It was stupid. There were no positives.
Well, listen, man. Like, I mean, if they could have done the heel run right, like he could have been a member.
2011.
No, I mean he could have come as the People's Liberation Army member for against Taiwan. He could have done that at that heel angle.
Okay.
Right. What?
Remember when John Cena got in trouble for I guess he said free Taiwan or whatever, and
he referred to Taiwan as its own country, and then China wanted him to apologize.
Yeah,
and he did, and then he pissed off the rest of the world when he did that.
Yeah, that was him when Travis Scott slapped the hell out of Cody. I'm not gonna lie, that was hilarious.
Oh,
that was funny.
I forgot about that.
He slapped the hell out of Cody.
Oh, and Cody never got that receipt, man. He's gonna have to go to a Travis Scott concert later on this summer to collect that debt.
I had saw I think it was a clip on Instagram of Logan Paul talking about like why Travis Scott, like why he didn't come back after WrestleMania. And the whole thing was like he was supposed to do they were supposed to do like a training session for some type of match that they were supposed to have, and then Travis Scott just no showed it. He was like, I'm good.
He must have been watching Scott Hall tapes of no shows for him in the past, and did likewise in kind.
Can you imagine though, Travis Scott in the fucking performance center taking flat back bumps and like fucking.
Bro, I'm telling you,
it was never going to happen, was it?
It was probably gonna be him and John Cena versus Cody, and I forgot who Cody was paired with at the time, but it was probably gonna be some type of tag match. And Lord have mercy, how that was gonna go.
Oh, for Saudi Mania?
No, I'm talking about when Travis Scott was still actively involved in plans.
Yeah, you hear the price tickets for the Saudi Arabia show? It's like $911, man. Crazy.
Wow. Almost as much as the NBA in London.
I'm sorry, man. Merry Christmas.
This man is here in the season of giving, and he is just spreading misinformation to all the fine people listening to the show.
We are the heels in this country, aren't we? Sad.
Yes.
Hey, I want to be a face, though. I'm a face.
Well, in order to be a face, you need to have your camera on, and unfortunately,
I can't.
It didn't work out, man.
I don't want to get fired. I don't want to get fired and then be a pro podcaster.
He's in a personnel vehicle.
Yeah,
he's on company time right now.
I am on company time. Spreading good merriment to my favorite people in the world, Andrew Thompson and Martin Bushby.
And on that bombshell, our next guest is in the waiting room, thank God. Eric, it's been a pleasure talking to you as always, mate. Brandon,
5 times.
Get fired.
Hey, bro.
Get back to work.
Hey, Brandon, Eric, it's great to see y'all, man. Great to see y'all,
man.
Bro.
I'm getting. Am I getting the shepherd's hook?
This is it, man. You go back to work.
I'm getting the Sandman from Showtime with the Apollo treatment. I'm getting kicked off the stage.
Stop stealing money from your company, okay? Get back delivering those packages.
Hey, they've robbed us for so many years, dude. It's time we take. It's the big payback.
Okay,
hey,
workers' rights. Let's go. Rise.
That's it. All right, guys.
Merry
on all serious note, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Andrew. Keep doing what you're doing. You're the man. I always respect you and your. I tell this to whoever listens to me that my favorite thing you've ever did was when you were with Scrump and talking about what was going down with social activism and stuff like that. I was like one of my favorites. That was the first time I ever was like, wow, Andrew Thompson's a really deep thinker, and respect to you for that in all seriousness. And it was a pleasure meeting you that one time too. We could see eye to eye because we're both short people.
Hey, bro.
And Martin, I can't hear you. You can hear me, but I love you, brother. It was fun doing the podcast with you and whatnot. And John Maxley said it best. I don't know what he said. Goodbye.
When he said nothing at all.
Shout out to Brandon, man. Shout out to
Brandon. Shout out Brandon, yeah.
Eric,
it's controversial as always.
Eric, it's great seeing you as always, bro. For real. It's always great
5-time
seeing you,
guest,
man.
the one and only, no equal
Yep.
ever. And you know what? Right now, there will be a number 6. Okay, if you wait.
Yeah.
December 2026, the return of Marcotte.
Indeed. Right. After that wild ride, are you ready for our final guest?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
On this extravaganza, Andrew. Joining us from Grapple Towers, all the way in Liverpool, it's Mr. Grapple Gareth. Mate, how are you?
Hey.
Yeah, all right. I'm good. I'm absolutely gutted that you've cut Brandon off before I've come on, and I wasn't on with Brandon. What a shame.
Yeah. Said no one ever.
How you doing, lads?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Thanks for binning off the AEW show tonight to chat to us. Appreciate it, mate.
Well, you know what? You messaged me about doing this show, and then I was like looking at AEW tickets, and I went, oh, it's the same day. I was like, good, fate's got in the way there. I've agreed to podcast, so that 10 minutes of podcast over AEW, why not?
Hey, real quick, Garrett, I wanted to ask you, like, since just parlay that into AEW. This came to mind when we were talking to Trish and Sarah, and they had mentioned MJF. Like before he lost the tax match to Mark Briscoe at All Out, he said that he was going to come back as a brand new version of MJF. And I'm just wondering, like, what more from MJF's character can like personally engage you that you haven't already seen? Like, we've seen the baby face, we've seen him take all the sharp jabs and say the controversial things and X, Y, and Z. But as a viewer, what else from MJF do you think that he can more so pull out of himself that would make you personally interested, that would actually follow up on, I'm going to be a brand new MJF when I come back?
I mean, I think for me, like, I was always much more of a fan of him before they started sort of leaning into the babyface stuff that they did with him, and then before they really went for it with the Adam Cole stuff, they were sort of towing that line a little bit, and to me, it was always just he should never be a babyface ever. He should be the purest heel in the business, and I never want to see him get cheers in the building and things. So I don't know if it's a case of like the toothpaste out of the tube or not, but I'd just like him to just come back as a like serious heel sort of thing with real sort of like aggression and real violence and almost like the, in his interviews, the low-hanging fruit, little put-downs of people and things, just get rid of them completely. And almost, like, I know it's been a key part of his character from a heel standpoint to put the babyface down during the interview and stuff, but I think that's probably, I don't know if you can pull it off though now, because like I say, because of the whole, the feeling of he has got fans, he has got a bit of popularity and things like, but it's a test for him, for me, that is, if he could come back and just be the purest, most serious heel that he can be, then I think that would perk my interest, but I just don't know if it's achievable. And outside of that, I don't know how interested I am in seeing him do, the stuff that he's already done, to be honest. I don't know if he needs a new platform altogether.
No, I agree. I completely agree, guys, but I don't think he's got it in him. I think he's decided now that this is my character. It's really popular. It gets over with the fans. I think he ignores sort of like the sort of like criticisms, or it's just a bunch of marks and things like that. But yeah, I would be happy. I'd be happy to be proved right, proved wrong rather, but I just don't think he's got it in him anymore. I think he's decided that this is sort of like stock sort of thing, and that's what people want to see from him, sort of thing.
Yeah.
Which is a shame, really. But
which if he can come back and he can pull off that pure heel, then just think about potentially like different things that he can be doing there with the baby faces that have been sort of elevated, and there is that kind of different type of heel probably lacking at the top end of the card now with Samoa Joe, the style of heel that he's become on the back of the Moxley heel run and things like that. It's a bit, I don't know, it's a bit samey, so it's sort of it needs something a bit different, I think, from a heel point of view. So again, I mean, I'm not gonna close my eyes to the chance that it could be something good, but equally, it's not something I'm massively enthused about at this stage of the
game. Hey, so Garrett, we got Wrestle Kingdom coming up, and of course Tanahashi is gonna be main event against Kazuchika Okada in his retirement match. What are you expecting match wise from Tanahashi? And also, do you think that it'll be more so like I think we all probably can agree on this. I think it'll be more so about the emotion of it and the culmination of this great career from this wrestler who's put in all this work in this company, more so than like, people expecting this to be like some bill even though like it might turn out to be, exactly that. But in terms of like the emotion standpoint of the match, but what are you going into it expecting to see from Tanahashi, and how do you think this final result will turn out? Who you think is going to win?
I mean, first and foremost, I'm just delighted that it's a sellout at the Dome because
man,
just Tanahashi just been so important to that boom period, and just the legend that he is, just getting sent off in the right way. To me, almost like when you talk about emotion there, I just think about emotion in the building, and I just think that I'm almost a bit like the match feels semi-inconsequential to me as to the occasion of Tanahashi being in front of there and in front of a sellout dome. I think it's just, I know I'm gonna have tears in my eyes on the day watching it. But I think that because Tanahashi and Okada, what made their previous matches so great was just their attention to detail and so much thought into the minutiae of everything that went into it to build that story, not only in the match, but then to progress the story that they then told through the progression of the matches that they have. I've got faith that I know that Tanahashi can't go out there and athletically perform at the level that he did 10 years ago, but I think the story that they'll probably tell in the match by probably doing as much as they need to do, but as little as possible. On the other side, I think I just can't not see it being a great match, but in a totally different way. I can't see them not putting something together that just doesn't have you sitting there at the end thinking, "Wow, that was brilliant." I can't see them not achieving that personally. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Oh no, I definitely agree. Like we've seen Tana can't go like he did sort of 10 years ago or whatever, but the emotion, the storyline. I mean, I was at the Dome when Liger retired and people were just bawling their eyes out, and just seeing them two go at it one more time. And then Tanahashi's gonna be crying at the end of it, doing the air guitar for the one last time, and that place is gonna be like, it's gonna be like you said, I think they've got enough in them to not be like, well, it's not going to be spot like we used to do and sort of thing. Right. It's just going to be all about the story and the emotion of the match. And and it's going to be, even watching it sort of like back home, I think it's still going to come through on the camera. You don't have to be there live in the building as much as I'd fucking love to be, sort of thing. I definitely think that the story is going to carry Andrew.
Yeah, for sure. No, I'm 100% with both of y'all. I think it's going to be more so about the emotion of it. And like Garrett said, I think it'll come through. Whether you're there in person, and like you said, Mark, like it'll come through in person, or whether you're, there in attendance at Wrestle Kingdom, like the culmination of like a stalwart in that company, and then the guy who's obviously going to parlay right back into his presidential role. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a great match, and I think it's going to be a great match in their own way. Like I don't think I'm not expecting some, Tanahashi to be doing some goddamn topes over the top rope, doing no kind, like, what I'm saying. I think it's gonna be a fun match, and I think they're gonna make people feel, and I think it'll be great once, like, I'm pretty sure they'll get some type of camera shots of the individuals in the audience showing their emotion. One of my favorite visuals, bro, from this year, like when people talk about like their year in the awards, like if there was a category for best visual, it was Tanahashi's reaction to Omega and Gabe Kidd when he was like crying, like the commentary desk. That is like one of my favorite moments from this year. And like that, again, that was in January, and that still like sticks with me, like his massive reaction that he had to these two individuals in this match. And I'm pretty sure that there's going to be some type of similar reaction when Tanahashi, whether he wins or loses this match.
No, definitely. Well, we've still got you, Gareth. What have been some of your sort of like favorite moments from sort of 2025 in wrestling? Because I know you mentioned that you were really high on sort of like Kyle Fletcher, and was it sort of like his match with Hangman Adam Page that sort of pushed it over the edge here. Because like I was saying earlier, us guys in England had been seeing him, when he was like as skinny as I am sort of thing, having great matches as part of sort of like Aussie Open and that. And now he's sort of like jacked to the gills and he seems to just be like dripping this charisma. And I absolutely fucking love those like glasses that he wears. You just know he found him in the shop and he was like, this will make me look like the biggest twat ever. Do you know what I mean? And he just knew when he was putting him on that, like, that this is going to make me look, people are going to go, oh my God, look at that poser sort of thing. But yeah, what a year he's had, hasn't he, Kyle Fletcher?
Oh, I mean, to me, that's the thing that it just, when I just think of this year, just the rise of Kyle Fletcher is just what, stands out in my mind. And I think it's one of these things with like, I think one of the great things about being a wrestling fan as old as I am is that there's been plenty of occasions along the way where you're able to sort of go on the journey with somebody and you see them come through, when they're young and you see them develop and you see people get it. And it doesn't happen all the time. You see guys who you think are like hot prospects and they plateau and they drop off and they don't achieve what you think they will, either through their own back or bad booking or the wrong company at the wrong time and things. But I don't know, I just feel like it's a bit lightning in the bottle at the minute with Kyle Fletcher, and having him being somebody that I was literally watching every single month in front of like 80 people like 6-7 years ago, and like him just being this skinny 19-year-old kid and looking at him and thinking like, yeah, he's great, he does flashy moves and he's fun to come here and watch on a Tuesday night and have a few beers. And if you'd have told me then that he'd be a guy who I'd be thrown into main events of pay-per-views in America, and like you talk about the Hangman stuff, but I just think about the feud with Mark Briscoe that he's had over the course of the year, the stuff with Ospreay earlier in the year, coming out of the back of last year's Continental Classic and then culminating in that cage match. Like I watched that cage match earlier today just as a bit of a rewatch, and I'm like, oh, what a match, what a story to tell, like the moves, like some of the absolutely incredible. And I think just right through to him getting the TNT belt, great win over Dustin, but then like kind of like elevated that belt, just having great matches on TV, like every couple of weeks. And he's gone from that day when he shaved his head and the promo was a bit clunky and things. Now he's just like, he can talk. He's got the look. He's getting bigger and bigger with every single month that goes by. He's got the matches. He tells stories. It's not just all about moves. I'm so high on him. I'm so excited just to see what comes next year with him, because you asked me the question, Andrew, about MJF. Like I almost see as like Kyle Fletcher's just moved into that space or he's going to move into that space that MJF could have as that serious top line heel, and like I think he's going to eat him for lunch next year as when it comes to presence and profile in the business.
I'm saying, and Gary, to your point, real quick. My bad, Martin. But to your point, like I think that's it. I wanted to ask you this. Like I think it says a lot about Kyle to be in the spot that he's in, and he doesn't feel less than a Kazuchika Okada or a Konosuke Takeshita. Like he's standing next to them, but the Don Callis family feels like it's centered around Kyle. Like like he doesn't stand. I don't see him standing next to Okada and think Kyle's less than. I don't see him standing next to Takeshita and think Kyle's less than. When I see all of them together, it seems like Kyle's the guy. And I was just wondering if you felt that exact same way seeing him on television on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really intriguing because obviously you've got the Okada Takeshita feud that's sort of slowly building, coming to a head. And you almost feel like they're going to butt heads, and he's just going to come straight through the middle and be the guy, kind of, and they'll sort of, separate into different areas. But yeah, that's the exciting part for me because he just feels like top tier already. And if you feel in top tier when you stood there next to Okada and Takeshita, then like wow, how good's that?
Oh yeah, completely. Well, that's the thing as well. And we were talking earlier with Trish and Sarah, how many sort of like AEW is going to be cluttered with baby faces when you think about it next year. Got Ospreay coming back. Moxley's surely going to be turning face and going against the Death Riders. So it's if Kyle's sort of like the main heel, he's got so many fucking baby faces to work with and have all these banging matches. So like as good as his 2025 has been, it's going to be like even better in 2026 potentially, unless he gets, an injury or something else happens, or they keep him in the Don Callis family too long. So, I mean, that whole implosion, you could keep them both heel when he turns against Don. I mean, it's going to get a massive reaction, but he could still remain the heel and go, I've outgrown you now. You're nothing to me, sort of thing. But yeah, always great chatting to you, Gareth. Thank you so much for joining us. Obviously, fantastic analysis over at Grapple. What have we got coming up? I know Benno touched a bit on it earlier, but as far as like shows that you're going to be doing over the Christmas period.
Yeah, so I'll as always on Grapple, they'll pull me in to do the AEW stuff there. So I'll be, reviewing obviously the pay-per-view in December. We've got our year-end show that we're doing with the Grappies and the Crappies, where we'll be going through the best and worst of the year. So if anyone's listening now, you've maybe just had a few spoilers on the Cal Fletcher front with me, where my brain's going to be going on that one. And then also just coming to the end of the year, me and Matty will be doing another episode of Retro, as we put out there, where we talk about the great man for an hour. So plenty on our plates coming up, and looking for another good year at Grapple.
Excellent. Cheers, mate. Thank you so much. Have a
Appreciate
great
you coming
Christmas,
on, man.
you and all the family and everything, and a happy new year, mate. Cheers for joining us.
Yeah, thanks, lads. Great. Thanks for inviting me on. Have a great Christmas, and catch you next year, Martin. A few beers next year.
Oh yeah, totally. See you later, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, Andrew. Have a good one.
Peace, man.
Cheers.
Thank you again.
That's it, Andrew.
Boom.
The extravaganza has come to an end, sadly, for another year, but fantastic show. Thank you so much to all our guests, and obviously, main thank you to you, Andrew. Always fucking fantastic talking to you, doing these shows, and it's just, that's gone 2 hours, just over 2 hours gone by like a breeze, mate. Fantastic chatting to you. But thank you so much for doing it.
My guy, it's always one of my favorite things, getting to do these shows with you and doing the one of my fondest memories of doing anything wrestling related is doing the Bushby and Thompson's wrestling adventure. I have that.
Yes, mate.
I have that archive folder from Post saved on my laptop. So like just in case, like I always make sure to keep. I want to keep that folder of like content and stuff like that, because it's always like fun to look back on and the different stuff that we was able to do. And yeah, man, it's I'm always enjoying the Christmas show, and I think this is gonna be an annual thing, man.
Yeah,
so,
it looks like it, doesn't it? Yeah, as long as Davey and Braden will have us. So it'll be great to do this every year. Have a catch up at Christmas. One of my favorite times of the year, or the holidays. Obviously everyone doesn't celebrate Christmas, so the festive period, you might put it. But and thank you so much for everyone who jumped in and out of the chat. But obviously there was one guy who stayed in the chat all night, Mr. Chris Elliott.
Hey, shout out to Chris.
Cheers, Chris. Always
Chris,
there for our shows, he was. But yeah, cheers, Chris. Andrew, any I haven't got any plugs because I don't really do much podcasting anymore, but any plugs for you, mate? Where people can check more of your stuff out? You
can check out my written work currently at Fightful, and I got like one of those link tree things in my bio, so like you can check out my old writing work from Post. You can check out my old writing work from like E-Wrestling News, the YouTube channel, Lords of Pain, like all my the E-Wrestling News stuff is shit. Like that was like when I first started writing, that was fucking awful. That was awful. Like if you want to go look at that and get a good laugh in, watch me plagiarize people's work. go take a look at that.
All
man.
the secrets are coming out now.
Go take a look at it, man. It's some stuff from 2017, brother. I'm talking about I was stealing people quotes, was not crediting them. Horrible performances, man. But I wanted to make sure to keep that stuff.
You learn, you grow up.
You live and you learn, man. But yeah, go check that stuff out, and all the old stuff on the YouTube channel. And yeah, man, that's about it. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter and all that stuff on AD Thompson __. And that's all I got.
Excellent. Yeah, like I said before, thank you so much for all our guests taking the time. It got a bit messy in the middle there with just sort of like, and obviously Jay, poor guy, having to like Arizona just apparently does have no signal at all. But
his son just graduated from university.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
man.
Congrats. I mean, that's big, man. Big
Congratulations.
time for the guy.
Congratulations to Jay Jr., man.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, so thanks so much for everybody else taking the time. And obviously, we appreciate everyone and everyone for listening, tuning in, and everyone that's going to be listening to this in podcast form. And of course, obviously, major thanks to Davey and Braden. They're going to have a live show on Sunday on this very YouTube channel with their end of year Christmas show. We're going to have tons of special guests, party games. Always a good time with those two guys. So be sure to check that out on Sunday. And Andrew, that's it. So I hope everyone listening, has a great holiday season. And we'll catch you in the new year.
See you next year, man. See you December 2026.
Indeed.